I told my wife I always wanted to have a model railroad layout. Cherryville had a model railroad club. I went up to the meeting, and I've been coming here twice a week for the last 25 years.
What's on the docket?
Code 12, flickering lights.
What if it's a ghost this time?
It's never a ghost, Pete.
Greetings and salutations. Thank you for coming. Please enter.
Definitely a ghost.
I've seen malarkey like this before. Classic bad wiring. By the book.
We got this.
Excellent.
All set?
Oh, so much better. Thank you.
See, Pete, no ghosts.
Oh, no, this place is totally haunted.
See, Jane?
There must be a draft in here. I guess maybe Pete was right for once.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
We got a bogey.
Man, I'm trying to cook your food.
Hey, Bob, what you doing?
Oh, hey, there's little home security.
Your new smart home system is installed. Security lights, cameras, and sensors all accessible on your phone.
Awesome. Going dark. Please bring me love.
He likes to do it all himself, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's Bob Malarkey.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
What do we got?
Code 94, circuit breaker.
Let's break it down.
Susie's got dance recital, Kevin has midterms, Dan's trying to watch the game, and I'm just trying to make dinner.
Kevin!
Flip the breaker!
We should take a look at that breaker.
Relieved of duty.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
Quite often there are people they're still here. They're living in tents, but they're still home, what they call home.
Next up.
Code 99, smart home installation.
Ooh, a smart home. Think what smart homes can do in the future. Like take out the trash, put the kids to bed, or walk your dog for you.
Not how it works, Pete.
These smart home instructions read like malarkey to me.
Don't worry. We'll take care of it. All set. Want to give it a try?
Smart home, lights off.
Lights off.
Smart home, lights on.
Lights on.
Oh, perfect.
May I try?
Be my guest.
Smart home, walk the dog.
Walk the dog.
Pete, I told you it doesn't work.
The future is here. You're such a smart home. Aren't you, smart home? Such a good boy.
Feed me, please.
Give him a treat, Jane.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
Hi, I'm Rusty Wise with Mr. Sparky by Wise Electric Control. Did you know we cover the entire Charlotte market? Our Mr. Sparky electricians are everywhere to serve you from Cherryville, Kings Mountain, Gastonia to downtown Charlotte. We are your local electrician to call when you have any home or business electrical issues. If you're a Panthers fan, Knights fan, or Hornets fan, Mr. Sparky is here for you. No more malarkey. Call Mr. Sparky.
Hey, neighbor, you got an EV?
Yep.
Me too. Like I always say, more volts, more vroom.
Got your new EV power all set up.
Oh, great.
Quick charging, energy saving, and you can control it all from your phone.
Really? You okay, Bob?
Yep. Fully charged.
He likes to do it all himself, huh?
Yep. That's Bob Malarkey.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
Sorry for the late call.
Not a problem. We're available anytime.
We're supposed to meet our new baby granddaughter for the first time.
But then our TV camera thingy stopped working.
Probably a bad breaker.
We'll take care of it.
All set.
Mom, can you see us?
She's precious.
Oh, baby.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
Another power outage. You guys okay?
Oh, sure. It's like I always say, power goes down, Bob powers up.
Just finished installing your new generator, and everything's running great.
Oh, awesome.
Hey, you guys got a new generator?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sweetie pie, I'm going.
He likes to do it all himself, huh?
Yep. That's Bob Malarkey.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
Sparky 7 to dispatch. We're all finished at the Henderson house. What do you have for us, over?
Your next job is at 717 Main Street. Code 55, over.
Code 55. Ceiling fan.
Fantastic.
With a broken ceiling fan, I've had to improvise. Ready, honey?
Make it less hot.
I don't think this is safe.
We can just fix your fan.
Yeah, that might work better. Right, honey?
What?
All set.
Thanks.
Oh, look, honey. Do not point at human faces. Who would do that?
No more malarkey. Call Mr. Sparky.
I foresaw problems with my electricity.
With our preventative maintenance checkup, you can make small changes now to prevent big problems in the future.
You probably already knew that.
I did.
She did. All set, your home's electrical future looks bright.
As was foretold by Esmeralda, the Enlightened.
And Maddie, the Powerful.
And Dan.
The?
Just Dan.
No more malarkey. Call Mr. Sparky.
What do we got?
Code 27, freezer failure.
Sounds like a cold case.
The freezer's not freezing, and Timmy's party's today.
What's with the igloo?
Can't have a pool party without popsicles. Right, honey?
I'll check the breaker.
Here's your problem. Fried circuit.
Best not to overload your outlets.
All set.
No more malarkey. Call Mr. Sparky.
Need a licensed electrician to service your home? Give us a jingle, or just use this one.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-Sparky.
No more malarkey. Call Mr. Sparky.
Me, Hal Strauss and me decided that we wanted to save the depot. Well, it's a big part of history.
Well, I think the railroad was actually basically the upbringing of Cherryville. During the Civil War, this was actually the terminus of the Carolina Central Railroad, because they didn't have enough steel to build all the way down to Rutherfordton.
I told my wife I always wanted to have a model railroad layout. Cherryville had a model railroad club. I went up to the meeting, and I've been coming here twice a week for the last 25 years.
Next up.
Code 99, smart home installation.
Ooh, a smart home. Think what smart homes can do in the future. Like take out the trash, put the kids to bed, or walk your dog for you.
Not how it works, Pete.
These smart home instructions read like malarkey to me.
Don't worry, we'll take care of it. All set? Want to give it a try?
Smart home, lights off.
Lights off.
Smart home, lights on.
Lights on.
Oh, perfect.
May I try?
Be my guest.
Smart home, walk the dog.
Walk the dog.
Pete, I told you it doesn't work.
The future is here. You're such a smart home. Aren't you, smart home? Such a good boy.
Feed me, please.
Give him a treat, Jane.
No more malarkey. Call Mr. Sparky.
Sorry for the late call.
Not a problem. We're available anytime.
We're supposed to meet our new baby granddaughter for the first time.
But then our TV camera thingy stopped working.
Probably a bad breaker.
We'll take care of it.
All set.
Mom, can you see us?
She's precious.
Oh, baby.
No more malarkey. Call Mr. Sparky.
Hey, neighbor, you got an EV?
Yep.
Me too. Like I always say, more volts, more vroom.
Got your new EV power all set up.
Oh, great.
Quick charging, energy saving, and you can control it all from your phone.
Really? You okay, Bob?
Yep. Fully charged.
He likes to do it all himself, huh?
Yep. That's Bob Malarkey.
No more malarkey. Call Mr. Sparky.
Quite often there are people they're still here. They're living in tents, but they're still home, what they call home.
Sparky 7 to dispatch. We're all wrapped up at the Taylor house. What do you have for us, over?
We have an emergency, code 16, over.
Code 16, malfunctioning smoke detector.
Earplugs, Jane? How bad could it be?
This is malarkey.
That's why I called you guys.
It's a defective detector.
Oh, thanks.
was right. The detectors were defective.
Oh, it's calm again.
It's important to check your smoke detectors regularly.
A broken detector won't protect you. I'm still yelling, aren't I?
No more malarkey. Call Mr. Sparky.
We got a bogey. Hey, Bob, what you doing?
Oh, hey, there's a little home security.
Your new smart home system is installed. Security lights, cameras, and sensors all accessible on your phone.
Awesome. Going dark.
Please bring me love.
He likes to do it all himself, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's Bob Malarkey.
No more malarkey. Call Mr. Sparky.
We're gonna win the day, people! Sarah, turkey on wheat. Dan, Maddie, can you fix a bad outlet?
Yep.
Honey, presentation about a broken light. On it. Busted ceiling fan.
We'll take care of it.
Great. Jerry, you're on mute.
All set?
Wow, you guys really do everything.
Huh? Everything electrical.
Yeah, but you actually do everything.
Aw, thanks.
No more malarkey. Call Mr. Sparky.
Me, Al Straup and me decided that we wanted to save the depot. Well, it's a big part of history.
Well, I think the railroad is actually basically the upbringing of Cherryville. During the Civil War, this was actually the terminus of the Carolina Central Railroad, because they didn't have enough steel to build all the way down to Rutherfordton.
I told my wife I always wanted to have a model railroad layout. Cherryville had a model railroad club. I went up to the meeting, and I've been coming here twice a week for the last 25 years.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming out tonight. We want to go ahead and get started so that we have plenty of time to go over any information, any questions. We're going to have two separate Q&A sessions. One is about the corporate, about Elevra, and the other is around air permits. But we will also have plenty of time at the end to hang around, answer questions. Just because there's an 8 o'clock stop point, we won't stop until your questions are answered, okay? So I'm going to pass it on over to Lucas.
Thanks, Melissa. Good evening, folks, and thanks very much for your time. My name's Lucas Dow. I'm the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Elevra. As Melissa mentioned, really the key focus tonight is about us being able to share where the project's up to, importantly, and give you the opportunity to be able to ask questions as you might have. We've cleared the evening, so I'm happy to take questions until you're sick of asking them. So it's not a challenge either. So look, a couple of things that we wanted to do was one, obviously, to introduce myself, and I know that most of you already know the rest of the team, but we'll spend a few moments on that. Give you an update in terms of what's happened with Elevra, which was the merger of Piedmont and Sayona, where the project's up to, importantly around where our air permitting status is, and Monique will take you through that. And the key element is an opportunity to ask questions as we're going along as well. So I've got a few slides I'll go through initially, and then we'll pause for some questions, as Melissa described. Then we'll jump into the air permit, and then more questions, and then it's questions until you've had enough. All right. As I said, my name's Lucas Dow. As you would have picked up, I'm an Australian with my accent. I thought it'd probably be helpful just to give you a little bit of background in terms of who I am and sort of where I grew up and all those sort of things, just so you've got a bit of a sense when we're making decisions what shapes it. Because ultimately, how we think about things and how we view the world is obviously a reflection on how we grew up and where we grew up and the sort of experiences we had. So, by way of background, I grew up in a small town. This would have, like Cherryville, would have been like a major city for us. We had a small farm, about 50 acres. Dad was a long-haul truck driver, and Mum was a stay-at-home mum. I'm the oldest of three. I was the first one to go to college in the family, so that was a big thing for Mum. At the time, I was more interested in driving trucks, but thankfully Mum pushed me along and said, "You better stay at school, boy." And so I graduated as a mining engineer, and the first year I started working in the mines, I earned more money than Dad had ever earned driving long haul. And that stuck with me, and it's one of the real motivations I've got, is that the industry's given me the opportunity to do things for Mum and Dad. Dad's passed away. To do things for Mum and then for my family. I've married 3 daughters. It's given us fundamental opportunities that I never had as a kid. And the mining industry provides those opportunities. So they're elements that really drive me in terms of how I think about things, about being able to provide opportunities and really be able to sort of pay it forward for future generations as well. In my spare time, I've now got a farm of 300 acres, run about 100 head, take sort of weaner steers through to bullocks for slaughter. And so it's against that backdrop, I know that if someone was building a mine or a refinery alongside my farm, I'd have questions. So it's only reasonable people have got questions, and and that's what we're here for. So I just want to give you a little bit of my background. In terms of professionally, as I said, a mining engineer, that's all I've done. So I started as a drill and blast engineer, mining manager, processing manager, worked in Australia, Asia, Africa, South America, and also in North America as well. I might just quickly get Melissa and Monique just to jump up. You probably know these folks already. And Melissa, you just want to...
Yeah. So, hey, everyone, Melissa Gordon. I handle all of the government affairs and community affairs for Elevra. As you all know, I was with Piedmont. Been with them, came on with the company in 2020. Before that, I spent over a decade here in the county working for Gaston County Economic Development Commission. So I worked with all of the existing industry to keep industry coming in and staying in Gaston County. Thank you.
Thanks. Monique?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Monique Parker. By education, I'm a chemical engineer, but for Elevra, I'm our Chief Sustainability Officer. So I'm responsible for all of our permitting, looking at safety, risk, all of the things that have to do with, how we're going to develop the mine from an environmental perspective and what impacts those have. I've been in the mining industry about 10 years now, and I've been with Elevra for 4.5. So I see some familiar faces, so it's great to see you. And as Lucas said, we're here to answer any and all questions, so thank you.
Emily. The only thing Emily likes talking about more than her little baby is this project.
Thank you, Lucas. Lots of familiar faces here. My name is Emily Winter. I am Community Relations Manager here, so my office down here on Main Street, Cherryville. I grew up here in Cherryville, went to Cherryville High School, all those things. Studied geology at App State, and actually started on this project back in 2018 as a geologist for Piedmont Lithium. Moved over to Community Relations, and now Community Relations for Elevra.
Jimmy.
Jimmy Johnson, property manager, born and raised in Cherryville. That's all I got.
He's an advocate for our project. All right. So just, a quick summary on sort of who is Elevra and what is Elevra. So we had Piedmont and then we had Sayona. So both Piedmont and Sayona had shares in North American Lithium, which is our operating asset up in Quebec. So you'll just see us right NAL, just up there in Quebec in Canada. So that's our operating asset. We're producing spodumene concentrate there. So Sayona and Piedmont were joint venture partners, and ultimately we decided to merge for a couple of reasons. One is an ability to be able to expand NAL, but also as a much larger and a stronger company with a much stronger balance sheet, it gives us the opportunity to be able to develop other projects as well. So we're now a company that, on the Sayona side, we're strong in operations. That's all I've done. I'm a career miner. So when we merged the two companies together, what Sayona brought to the table was a strong operating background. We've got folks that have been operating. I've been in the industry more than sort of 30 years. We've got folks there at that same sort of vintage, and then we've been able to combine that with the projects that Piedmont also had in the portfolio. So what you've got is a much larger, stronger company with more operating experience than we had previously and a much stronger balance sheet. The other things I just wanted to flag to you, so as a company, we've got... Make sure it's
at the top.
There we go. Mm-hmm. So we've got North American Lithium up in Quebec, which is an operating asset. We've got the Moblan project. It's a greenfield project, so similar to what we've got here. It contemplates building another mine. Then we've got the Carolina Lithium project, which obviously that's what we're focused on here. And we're also in a joint venture in Ghana, in Africa, in the Awoya project. And really what I want to share with you is that this is not our only project. So we are a company that can walk and chew gum at the same time. So we're thinking about how we advance all these projects, not just putting all our eggs in the one basket on a singular project. I think the other key component that I did want to share with you as well is that given our geographical location, the fact that we are based in both the US and Canada, it gives us tremendous opportunity in terms of certainly what the Trump administration is trying to do in terms of being able to get independence, particularly around critical minerals here in the US, and provide a supply chain in North America. So right as we speak today, we're North America's largest hard rock spodumene producer of lithium. So if you look at contained lithium, no one produces more lithium in North America than us. So we're a company that knows what they're doing around the production of lithium. I've already spoken about these 4 projects. NAL's the project that we're operating, producing around 200,000 tonnes of concentrate a year. Awoy is the project in Ghana, Moblan is in Quebec, and then obviously the Carolina project closer to home. Just a couple of things. There's a lot of, I guess people when they think about lithium, they think about EVs, electric vehicles. It's only a part of the story. And what's really emerging now is that if you look to, say, the Ukrainian war and all those drones that are flying around, what do they need? Batteries. Batteries need lithium. And why is lithium got such a competitive advantage? Because it's such a lightweight metal. So there are other materials, but they're much heavier. And if you think about batteries, weight is death. You don't want heavy batteries. So we've got a really competitive advantage in being able to produce lithium. So as you think about uses going forward and around national security, things that are associated with weaponry, and I know at times people think, but we need to think about that in these sort of uncertain times globally. Then there's energy storage solutions. So these are large batteries. So as we're seeing data centres develop, they need backup. And these batteries are an economic way of doing it rather than having to build additional power generation. And then as we step through, you've got transportation, and then you've got uses like greases and so forth. So I guess really what I want to share with you is that the outlook for lithium demand is continuing to grow and grow strongly. And in fact, as we look across between 2025 and 2030 on a global basis, lithium demand is expected to double. So what does that mean? The world's going to need more lithium mines developed. It's going to need more chemical production. And if we look closer to home here in North America, essentially that's primary supply. So that's the supply line, that red one. And this is the demand. Right? So right now in North America, we don't produce enough to satisfy demand that's generated here in the US and Canada. So the opportunity is to fill that gap. And that's why when we look at our NAL project and the ability to be able to expand that project, the Moblan project in Quebec, the project here in Carolina, and even the project in Ghana, there's opportunity to be able to provide that material and bring it here into the US. So really strong outlook for lithium demand, and the question is, where's the supply going to come from? So closer to home, and for people that mightn't be familiar with the project, our Carolina project, just here near Cherryville, obviously, there's a tin spodumene belt that runs right along here. That's that sort of green piece, and that's where we're located. And you'll see, historically, there's been lithium mining here in the region. Kings Mountain, the Horman Beam mine, and people are familiar with Bessemer City as well, which is Livent, which is now Rio Tinto. Yeah. So it was Livent that became Arcadium and then became Rio Tinto.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you go. There you go. The opportunity in those things. And so that's where our project's located here. Now, interesting thing about our project, and if we compare it sort of with what we've got at NAL, so in North American Lithium, we've got a mine and we've got a concentrator. And then that material gets shipped off to get converted into a lithium chemical. What we're contemplating here in Carolina, in the Carolina project here in North Carolina, is that we'd have it develop a mine, a concentrator, and then lithium chemical conversion as well. And I'll come to exactly what those 3 different processes are in a moment, so I don't expect you to sort of grab it all as we're going, but the point is that lithium chemical is closer to batteries than the material we're producing at North American Lithium at the moment. So there's an opportunity to be able to upgrade and develop that production here. Things going for us, obviously it's a well-known historical geological belt. We've got a great location here in the US, as I described earlier. Clearly the Trump administration, and I think even the administrations are going to follow, are going to continue to want to develop onshore capability. So at the moment, around 95% of the world's lithium chemicals are produced in China. So we mine material in Canada, put it on a boat, it goes to China, it gets converted, gets put in a battery, and then it comes back here. The opportunity is to be able to build here in the US and effectively develop that ecosystem here. Clearly the US government was that to be able to break that nexus with the supply chain with China, but also be able to bring jobs back onshore. All right, and this is probably one of the key questions you folks are going to ask in terms of, when are we going to get going with the project? Right, so just I guess a couple of things. As I mentioned earlier, this is now one project amongst 4 that we've got in the portfolio. So this isn't, we're not putting all our chips in on the one project. So we've got the ability to take our time and think these things through. The other key aspect is that given the size of the project and the technical aspects, so Elevra, we're really strong at mining and processing. We've got heaps of experience doing that, and we know what we're doing there. That chemical conversion, that's something we want to partner with someone that has got experience doing that. So it's a case of playing to your strengths. So we will be looking for a technical partner to help us with the chemical conversion. So we'll do the mining, we'll do the processing, and then we need someone to partner with for the chemical conversion. The other component on that is that the capital requirement on this is probably north of $1 billion US. Now, our market cap at the moment is probably around about 800 to 900 million. So it's a big chunk for us to bite off by ourselves. So we've been engaging, and Melissa's been leading the charge, we've been engaging with Washington and the Trump administration around potential support from the government for the project, but we'll also be looking for financial structuring with our technical partners. So those things have really got to come together. So as Monique will take you through, we've got to get our permits in place. And so we've got our stormwater and the mining permit in place. We've made our air permit submission, and Monique will take you through those details. We need to find a right technical partner for the chemical conversion. We need to get the financing structure in place. And then, I skipped a step, we've got to get the rezoning with the county as well. So if we just go back, permits, rezoning, technical partner, then flow it onto the financing structure, and then we'll get going. Now, what does that look like? Right now, I can't say with absolute certainty. Realistically, it's probably at least 2 or 3 years. Now, it's not to say you're not going to see things happen or that we're not going to be engaging with you, but we're not going to be out there breaking ground tomorrow. So we made good progress. And I suspect it's probably been a little while since we've spoken with you folks around how the project's going and so forth. So we've been, as I said, we've got the stormwater permit, we've got the mining permit, the air permit submissions now in with the state, and Monique will take you through that. We've also been developing the engineering work and so forth, and then focusing around land. So I guess the point is we've been pushing things along, probably a little bit like a duck. Feet have been going crazy under the water, but sort of gliding along the top. So that's going to continue for a little while, but we've just got to go through this methodically. And so the key thing that I want to reassure you folks is, because this is one project of 4, we don't need to rush this. What we do need to do is get it right. So if that takes a little longer, that's going to be the way it goes. But we're very methodical about how we're going to step through this. So it's not about just rushing to get to the finish line on this. It's about getting it right as we go. So whilst those things have advanced, the other part that I want to reinforce and that we want to share with you is that our commitment around groundwater monitoring, all those sort of environmental commitments, they still stand. So, we're not taking a backward step from those. In fact, I think in some instances we're enhancing those. So I don't want you folks thinking we're trying to cut corners. In fact, as I said, reality is we've probably slowed things down because we want to get it right, and it's not about going fast. I'd imagine, and again, if I think about it from a farmer's perspective, 300 acres and running some cattle, and someone's going to build a mine and a processing facility alongside me, what are the things I'm worried about? Well, I want to make sure the water's protected. Okay, so our commitment around those sort of things, unchanged. We've been on the public record, and we're happy to share that with you again tonight. That, if there's impacted on those registered wells and all those sort of things, we'll make good on those elements. So the trick on this is, when I say trick, the ability to be a responsible operator is that you've got to be a good neighbour. And that means about, having frank conversations. It means that we may not always agree on everything, and that's okay. We might have different opinions, but, the bottom line is we're not in the business of creating problems for our neighbours. And so around air quality, monitoring, blasting, those sort of activities, our commitments, they've been documented, The regulator's there to hold us to account, and our obligation is to make sure we live up to those things. So those commitments around air, water, blasting, they certainly still hold for us. All right. Question and answers. Now, I'm happy to take questions now. We've already had a few questions people had written in ahead of time. I can show you those, or we can jump straight in if people want to ask questions now, and then I'm going to hand it over to Monique. So I'm really in your hands. What would you like to do?
See those first.
All right. So the first question, has the company sold or purchased any additional local assets such as land or buildings? So short answer is yes. Well, sorry. There's some land that we haven't decided to acquire, and I'll give you the reason for that. If you look at the project, we're focused on what we've got the mining permit for. So previously, we had acquired a lot of land that was well outside the mining permit areas. Our immediate focus is the mining permit area. So land that's outside of that, we don't require it right now. So in some instances, that's meant that we haven't executed options and those sort of things. That's just the reality of it. We don't need that land, and so we're not going to just hoard land or accumulate it for the sake of accumulating land. Our focus is within that mining permit area. Does that make sense, or any questions on that?
But you do have more acquisitions to make.
Right now, all the land within the mining permit area is acquired. So we've got all the land we've got all the land we require within that mining permit. So we're not having to make any more acquisitions.
Okay. But future possible.
Look, I've been at this game long enough. Never say never. No, because things could change, and we get a couple of decades down the track, there might be another way we think about these things. So, but right now, for the foreseeable future, you shouldn't be expecting us to acquire any more land. How's Elevra Lithium different, other than the logo change, any different from Piedmont Lithium? As I mentioned, with the unison of, say, owner and Piedmont, we've now got a team that's got strong operational experience, and then we've got the great foundation that we've got here with the likes of Emily and Melissa and Monique and Jimmy that we can leverage upon. So I like to think that we've got the best of both worlds, but what you should and can expect from Elevra is that we're an operating company. We're not a company just making deals. So we want to build and operate, not just make deals and then sell to someone else. Obviously, the stronger balance sheet, all those sort of things I mentioned earlier. Any other questions on that aspect? Yes, sir.
What about a property that's in the middle of all y'all's land around me?
So the question was, what's happening with the properties that are outside the mining permit? In the middle.
He's surrounded by our properties around the mine permit, and so we don't own it. So
yeah, but it's outside the mining permit.
It is outside.
Yeah, at this point we're not expecting to acquire any more land. Yes, ma'am.
When you say this change from Piedmont to Elvira now,
yeah,
the executives that were over Piedmont that were doing the land deals and whatnot, they are no longer involved with Elvira. Is that correct? Beyond
that's right. Yeah, so Melissa and Monique. So if we just go back,
right? Yeah. The three that are here tonight.
Yes. So yeah, and then that's the rest of the lead team.
Okay.
All right. So yeah. So likes of Patrick and Keith Phillips and those folks. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions on that specific question? And
sir.
Yes, ma'am.
I backed up just a minute ago. You had mentioned about monitoring wells and the area around, and you made the mention of registered wells. What does that mean? Could you
So at present, what we've got, what we know of in terms of wells are those that have been registered with the county.
For like mobile home parks.
So what about wells that maybe predated the registration system, but still exist or used for household or farm operations?
Yeah, so the only way that we can sort of work through those things is those things have got to get registered with the county.
So are you notifying the people, like any kind of process to say, hey, if your well isn't registered, you need to register it? Kind of, how do people know? Because there's not a lot of information. We went through this kind of when Piedmont was talking about that, of how does someone know if your well is registered or not registered, and how to proceed with registering it, et cetera, et cetera.
So, Monique, feel free to jump in, but I'd expect you'd find that out from the county, whether if you've got a well, whether it's registered or not.
Well, it's registered 100 years ago.
Yeah, and the county no longer has the records.
Yeah, so I think ultimately, these are things that we've got to work through it. I mean, what we can and work with, what we can and we do work with, is the record that the county has got.
Ms. Kaiser, Mr. Sellers, do you care to jump in?
Not yet.
Monique, you want to add anything else?
I'll just say, to your point, have we done anything to send notification? The reality of it is we don't know where to send information to inform you, so we would leave it up to you all to understand if it's recorded or not. And there is a list that the county maintains, and so that would be the first place I would go, is go to the county just to see.
Why would we do that? Why wouldn't you send that to us and say, this is what we require?
And what kind of boundary are you looking at? Because some of us are not immediately adjacent to your permitted area, but potentially could be greatly affected.
Well, so maybe I'll just take a step back. So before we get too wound up about this, from the modelling we've done, there's about 10 land parcels we think will potentially impact.
Correct.
So no certainty.
Right.
Those 10, we can certainly get into that. I mean, are we going to be able to go through the entirety of Gaston County, sorting out everyone's wells? Short answer is no. So we'll need to take a...
And we understand that, but we're a beef cattle operation. So we've got over 300 head of cattle. They have to have water daily.
Sure.
We can't run on the precipice of, we might have water for you, because it's life or death. That is our business, that is our livelihood, and we are responsible for the care of our animals. If we can't care for our animals, we're out of business, and the American people are out of food. It's as simple as that. We don't need a maybe, and we don't need a Band-Aid. We need answers. We need to know, what do we need to do to make sure we stay in business while you're in business. We're not trying to run you out of business, but we don't want to be run out of business either.
Yeah, so I think first, if it was to play it through, first step would be to understand, are your wells, are they recorded with the county?
I have no idea.
Well,
probably not.
Right, well...
we're talking about a 300-year-old farm operation.
Yeah, so I think that's the first step. I think the other part then would be to understand, is it one of those first 10 parcels that we've got? Because...
No, we're well removed from it.
Okay.
We're essentially
and then...
Fort Tryon was having a lithium mine back in the early years. It's never done nothing to the water around, and they took care of that lithium mine, and it's never done nothing to the waters or wells, and it's never hurt none of the farmers, and it's never hurt none of the cattle. And they was in business for years at Tryon Lithium Mine, and everybody knows this, and everybody knows about Kings Mountain Lithium Mine. Today, it's still not hurting nobody, but everybody says, what about this and what about that? And I haven't heard about the air pollution. Then they need to go back to Tryon, and they need to go back to Kings Mountain. It's running now. They have got motels, hotels, restaurants all around the lithium mine. And they are feeding off the wells, septic tank, everything. And they ain't bothering nobody, so while all of a sudden...
There were impacts to those wells and those farmers.
Not many.
Not many at all. They rolled out the farms that they affected, but there were impacts.
Right, so
you're saying right here in Tryon,
they were never given anything to help them.
They did?
They got stuck with it, and that was
So,
too bad for you.
If I just take a step back, so, clearly there's difference of opinions on these things, but I guess what our commitment is around these elements is that if there's a demonstrable impact, for example, on those wells, we've got make good provisions on that. Now, whether that's, we're going to have to run municipal water out there, so whether that's that, if we've got courts... That's fine. Or sorry, sir, but if if you just let me finish, there's the opportunity for municipal water. The alternative is to put another well down, or put additional wells down, or to provide other make good scenarios.
Where are you saying there's municipal water? We don't have municipal water out
No,
here.
we'll be running municipal water to the facility. So there'll be an opportunity to branch off that.
Where are you getting the water
But
from?
again, one of our concerns is municipal water for 300 head of cattle. There's no way for that.
Yeah, no, so again, so if we just take a step back, so the general principle on these things is that if we're impacting our neighbours, we've got to make good obligation.
You haven't so far. We know of people that are right on your doorstep that, and I understand you acquired the
can't really say of our, I mean, maybe the transition will be different, but our knowledge, we'll put it that way. Yeah.
Ponds have already been cut off, and nothing has been done about it. They're
Crops have been destroyed.
Crops have been destroyed. Oh, we'll take care of it. And have some numbers, people haven't been reached.
Well, we've got those cards there that we've provided along. We'd be very happy to follow those things up if there's some, if people feel they've been wronged along that process.
Great.
Yes, ma'am.
Will your company be heading to test our wells if we are in your impact zone? Our property adjoins the north pit.
Monique, do you want to describe about the monitoring process?
So the way we're set up is that we will have monitoring wells around our entire perimeter. We will monitor our wells, and that will tell us the quality and quantity of the wells at the property line. If there are any indications there, that tells us that we have a potential outside. But as long as those wells are operating properly, we won't come on your property and test your wells. But if you have an impact, if you believe you have an impact, you are free to notify us, and we will work with you. And that's when we would potentially do testing if it's deemed necessary.
No, sir.
I don't think so.
That'll be us.
I mean, Jackson County does sample your well and come out and sample.
I don't know. Yeah, the regulators will come do all that stuff all the time. I'll test that. Yeah. But I mean, we're going to pay for it. Is the point?
You can ask Jackson County to come and check your well, and they'll do it.
Yeah, for a fee.
Well, it's going to be for a little small fee, but you know what I'm saying. It's not going to cost you gigantic money to have your well inspected.
No, we'll get them tested.
They'll come out and inspect your water for about nothing. And that's what I'm trying to say. Everybody keeps saying, what about the well water? Well, you can have that done today. And it don't cost that much money. And they'll come out, because they just come out and checked mine not long ago, and they told me I had spring water, and I'm in the middle of your property. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So if I was worried about it, then I would have my well checked today and know what my water sample is today, and then know what my water sample is when you start. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely. But ultimately, people don't
I'm not trying to upset nobody.
No.
And I understand. Everybody's got cattle. Everybody's raising horses like I did. Everybody's doing, and I want to do the same thing. And then if y'all mess with my land and mess me up on my 22.5 acres, then I want to know why and how come, and y'all going to pay. And I'm like everybody else. You will pay sooner or later, because my water has been sampled and has been tested. So why should it change?
Thanks, sir. Yes, sir.
Also, add on to her question, our property is right next to it. Also, right up to the property, we have a branch, and our property is in a conservancy, a nature conservancy. And I worry also, because, to be honest, open pit mining has not got a very good record on environmental, on the environment. I mean, you all the way back to the copper mines, the land there is still bad. And I'm not saying this is going to be like that. I'm just saying it doesn't matter if it's coal or it's diamond mining or what. They don't have a very good record on the environment as a whole, the industry. And I think that right there is part of the main issue, because, if something goes bad, that affects not just us, but the wildlife itself.
Yeah, so probably a couple of things that I could share with you. If I think about where the industry was 30 years ago when I started, it's very different to where it is now. So progressive rehabilitation, to be able to the control of the dump design and those sort of things is very different to what, some of those mines that you described earlier. So absolutely agree with you. Historically, there's been some poor practices across the mining sector that I could point to. But similarly, there's some excellent ones in recent times that I could also point to that will improve that. The other part I just want to share is that, in terms of all that land that we've got, and Monique, from memory, it's about a quarter that the actual mine occupies of that 1,300
Correct.
acres. I think it might be a third, about 400 acres is the mine. So it's not that whole area. Whilst it's called the mine permit, it's not that whole area that we'll be disturbing. So, and we've got to keep buffer zones as well along our perimeter. Yes, sir. I'm not coming to you, man.
What are you permitted as far as depth-wise to dig to, or can you go down deeper later, or what?
Nick, you want to describe that?
So the way our mine permit is set up, we do have a depth in the mine permit that we anticipate going. If we need to go deeper, we would be allowed to go deeper, but right now it's about 600 feet down that we're permitted to go, that we've allocated based on the modeling that we've done.
And that's really just driven by what's economic and where the ore body extends to.
And it doesn't mean the entire area would go down that far. It would definitely be driven by where the resource is located.
Yes, ma'am.
It was for her. I believe it was at Cherryville that I spoke to you the first time.
Yes, ma'am.
You did say that because there was concern about the water issue.
Mm-hmm.
It is a very real one. You don't have water, you're shot. It's just for everybody. But do you still have the parameters that you told me at that time? You said you did have backup contractors. If we had to get water in or something on somebody's farm that has cattle,
Mm-hmm.
we'd be able to feed our animals or something, that they still have crews, people in reserve, and different actions to be taken. And you said the turnaround window was 20-something hours? Or 4 hours. I think you gave me a really good number, that the turnaround, if something happened and you were contacted, the turnaround time to get somebody there working on the situation or looking at it. Say you hit something and now the well that line that fed your well just dumps into whatever that, the blast vibrated something or choked the line or something, that you had a turnaround window. Now that was Piedmont Lithium.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still intend to keep those safeguards that give us the confidence that if something did go bad, we're hoping not, we're praying against it, I'm praying full too, but if it happened, you have the contractors, the equipment, the proper people to make it right, lickety split, because water's it's not something you can do without. It's a must.
Water.
And clean water. And if you have animals that you're feeding, you can't go to can't have somebody come with a little truck of water bottles. It's not going to help. So you told me that then, that you had a turnaround team. I want to know that team is still in play.
So we never had the team in place. We have a plan and strategy. Our permit requires that if you come to us and say your well is impacted, within 24 hours, we have to make sure you have water at that immediate time if you do not have water from your well. Within 48 hours, we have to start having assessments of what is the problem and how we're going to manage and correct that issue and what's the driver for it. And then we have a period of time where we're going to work with somebody. So we did say then, and I'm sure we're still committed to, that we will have resources available for us to be able to act quickly. Those are not in place now because obviously we haven't started mining. We didn't have all of our permits. But once we know when all of those activities will begin, we will have contracts with the necessary resources to be able to respond as quickly as we possibly can within the time frames, the 24 to 48, and then I think it's 3 months that we have to make sure that you're whole.
About the water issue, at one time I've seen where the plans included municipal water lines to surround your project property, and be fed by Cherryville and Three Rivers.
No.
Is that still the plan, or?
So the plan is that we will. Sorry, I put this map in here because I thought this would be helpful. So this white line here is where the municipal water, we will have to have municipal water for our project. So that white line is how the municipal water will be brought to the property. It will come from Gastonia, from Three Rivers, not from Cherryville. But we will be metered by Cherryville. So the water comes from Gastonia. There will be a meter because Cherryville will get they'll send us the bill. We get the bill from Cherryville. So that's how that will work. Now, if people are impacted, obviously the line is already there, and so it's a lot easier for us to get you connected as quickly as possible.
You know why people move out of Sherwood?
I'm sorry?
You know why people move out of Sherwood?
No, sir, I do not.
You like doing the same thing?
Well, charitable water is not sourced from Gastonia. I don't believe it is. Right.
So let's think about charitable water in Highland.
Mm-hmm.
Where do they fail?
I don't live in the area, so I don't. I do not.
What's that got to do with this?
Yeah. Okay, so your water is 25% more. I mean, your power's 25% more. What do you think your water's going to be? And now you have to pay
Well,
for
that's
it.
back when we had a drought, was it not? That the water.
Yeah, where do they get it from?
The water, and they was just charging us for water. And then when we had that drought, they started charging us for water in septic. So then the water in septic went up.
We bought it from
Yeah, because we had to pay more in Cherville.
Why do you think I sold all my real estate properties out of Cherville?
Well, probably that reason.
Yeah, what's the power bill in Cherville?
Too high.
All right.
That ain't got nothing to do with that salty water.
No, if they're not getting the water from Gastonia.
They get the water, they're just not building it.
The water is coming from Three Rivers in Gastonia. Three Rivers in Gastonia. But there will be a meter. Correct.
Cherville make their income for this town.
Through utilities. Right. So, I mean, we're going to be generating revenue to Cherville based on our water bill.
Oh, that's all wrong.
He's talking about everybody that has to get on your water.
Yeah, if you're in.
Right.
And those are the things that so initially when all of this we were constructing all of this, obviously the water comes from Gastonia, but the bill goes through Cherville. Based on where you're located would determine how the municipalities work out your bills. I don't have an answer to that.
You get a free water.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what we want. We want to know we're not going to get a bill just
How are we going to
because.
feed the house up worse is what
Yeah.
it is.
So let's be crystal clear. We don't control the utilities.
No, you don't.
No, sorry.
We want you to pay for it.
So just hear me. Just give me a moment. Right, so let's.
Gastonia, Cherville.
Yeah, so Cherville's going to charge off the water.
So let's just walk through a hypothetical. All right. Let's say that you're currently on a well. You know, it's recorded with the.
It's not recorded. Most of them are. Most of the people in here.
It's a hypothetical, sir.
Pardon?
It's a hypothetical.
No, what I'm telling you is there's a lot of people in this room, and I can see people, and I know that your wills aren't recorded because we weren't told to do that.
All right. Well, so we're working through that now. So just the question was around, are you going to be out of pocket? The short answer is no. And so this is how it practically works. If your well's impacted and we can't put another well down to be able to replace it, and you want to take municipal water, my expectation is that we're going to cover the cost of that. Yeah, of course. I mean, it's like, if we've impacted it, now, what we're not going to foot the bill for is if you double your water usage once you got municipal water compared to what you had with your own well.
You had to have a study prior and a study afterwards.
No,
there's no way you know if the gallons are in.
It's pretty simple. I mean,
How do you know when it comes out of the window? What's the
because a pump's got a certain rating, and it's pretty easy to tell, like what that.
No, it's not.
Well, I'm sorry, sir, but I've spent a lifetime doing these sort of things, so.
I understand.
We spent a lifetime filling up trucks. We know how many times.
Right, so yeah, but
That's how we count our gallons.
sorry, if we just back another step. So, but the principle that we got is we don't want people.
A 4-bedroom house and a 2-bedroom
That's right.
house. And we form that line.
Yeah, but I live in a house that has 13 rooms, and you will live in. How can you say you have a house that has this, your GPM should be this? That's not true. You don't know. You don't know the history.
We're going to work through that practically. I mean, at the end of the day, the principle that we've got is we don't want people out of pocket if we've caused them harm.
All this stuff, yeah.
Okay, but I don't want city water. I don't want
Okay,
I want all this stuff to have the best water in the world.
Like I said,
Some people here.
and our focus is not to impact anyone. Right? So that's why I said it's a hypothetical. Let's not get too far away on this. Our focus is about making sure there is no impact. And that's what all the modelling's been done. So that's a starting point.
Here's the issue. You guys walked in and Piedmont Lithium started first. I don't see any representatives of the Knowles family here. Any Knowles people here?
Yes, they kicked you guys out of your property.
Great. Anybody?
No, but I'm here. And I sold to them.
Yeah, I know you did. And I saw where people sold to them, and they're sitting over here. So I'm hoping you're not cheerleaders, but.
Yes, I am. A cheerleader for.
Of course you are.
Of course.
Yeah.
They gave me an opportunity. Listen, I got a brother that lives right in front of the old train line. And that house and his mother-in-law's house has been there, I think, before. And they've never changed their well.
I got you.
And
It goes beyond the well.
no, it don't. It sounds like it's all water right now.
That's one part of the calculation.
That's where I go back to Tryon School. What happened to all the water around Tryon School?
So Knowles family.
Are you answering that? Yes, sir.
I understand.
What happens to the water around Tryon School? Did all our wells go bad? Do you know this?
Tryon is not the size of what this mine's supposed to be.
Okay, then go to Keeper's Mountain.
Right, folks,
Have you seen Keeper's Mountain Lithium mine?
if we can maybe just bring it back. So is there a particular question that...
Yes, I
No,
know.
it's all about water, what he's saying.
No, I'm
and
not.
the cost of water.
No, please, sir, your question?
No, it's not. The Knowles family. One
Yes.
of the most historic families in this area. So what did Piedmont Lithium tell them they were going to do with their house? Who could raise their hand and tell them?
That's the one they were going to prepare.
Build a fence around?
That's the one they were going to prepare and keep as an office, and they ended up tearing it down.
And you know what the Knowles told me? She didn't care if they tore it down or not.
Right. And why she got bored, she didn't give a
She
shit.
didn't
I
care.
don't know.
That was her family. She told me to our house.
Somebody who don't care.
She didn't care.
But that's a representative.
So,
Somebody represents what they're going to do for you.
So,
Do you live in Gerald?
I live in Crafts. I live right where that shit is.
Yeah, well, I live right there too, sir.
Where at?
I live right off the St. Mark's Church.
I'll come to you in a moment.
Right on the top.
I got it.
So I can't unring the bell.
Yes.
So, we are where we are, and what we are committed to is being good neighbours, doing what we say we're going to do, and work through things transparently. Are we going to agree on everything? Chances are not. Right? But, what I can certainly assure you is, you're going to get a fair hearing. We're open. We're happy to listen to people's issues and work with them. But again, that doesn't mean we're going to agree on everything.
I agree with you, and I think that what you should do is go around again to the neighbors, and I think you should have a meeting with each one. And I think that, there was an initial thing where people were happy, had 1.5 of their property values, and a lot of people want to change, they want to do something, they want to go somewhere else. But the rest of them, I think that you need to address.
Well, I think that's one of the key reasons we've got Emily and we've got the office here in Cherryville. Is right? Well, yeah.
You guys gave them all that money and they did all that stuff, and a lot of people thought that they sold that. I'm sorry.
Right. So, at the end of the day, it's a willing buyer, a willing seller.
It is.
There's
Some people aren't willing.
Well, there's no compulsory acquisition here. Right. So, sorry, ma'am.
I'd like to hear about water, air quality.
Sure. Okay.
I still live out in the middle.
Is there anything else on? There might be some more on water, but we might just sort of close the water piece off because we've got a whole section on air. Yes, ma'am.
One question. So you showed the map of the white line going kind of around.
Yeah.
Of where
The municipal lines.
Line there's a lot of areas inside of there that if you're not near that perimeter, and I don't know what roads those are. I'm assuming that's
St. Mark's is right here. Whitesides is over here, and this is Dallas Cherryville.
So let's say hypothetically, if you live on Whitesides Road, which some of us here do,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see we're close to the line area, mining permit area, and we start having well issues, then are you going to pay for an extension down Whitesides Road? it to my house if I'm the one that has the problem?
Yes.
Because that's, and I understand that, you know, there's a lot of roads, and, you know, there could be a lot of stuff down the road,
Mhm.
you know, the county's not gonna do it.
Nope. I know. So again, come back to the principle. So under that scenario, I mean, you're quarter ways away there, so chances that we're going to impact your well, I'd say zero, but in the event that, let's say we do, first option for us is, can we put another well in for you to be able to remedy that? Then if we can't get the well, then we've got to get municipal water to you at our cost.
Fair enough. And then my only other question about water is, because I just don't know, and I haven't heard this addressed, but I get where folks that have farms and, you know, pulling water out of the streams or accessing that water for their animals or crops. So what about the discharge? Let's say, you know, your well is not an issue, but you're getting water out of the stream.
Mm-hmm.
Then is that water going to be impacted by potential discharge from the well? Because I know, I mean, it's 500 maybe feet hole, and you know that there's water that's coming out in there. You're going to push groundwater and gas going to deal with it.
So one of the permits we've already received is what we call a general stormwater permit. And what that permit does is it allows us to discharge rainwater from our property, and it has to have certain parameters. Any water in our process or even through the mine, we have to control and keep on property. That water will not be discharged to any creeks or streams in the area. Now, when we mine, will we impact the level in the creeks and streams? Based on the modeling we've done, we will not, based on where they're located and where we're going to be mining. That's what the science and the math says just by modeling. Now, as we start operations, those are things we have to monitor. The state will require us to monitor the quality and quantity, not only of water in the wells, but water in the natural areas in the creeks and streams around us.
So, yeah, we're not permitted to discharge unless it hits those qualities.
I'd never heard that.
That's a great question. Yes, ma'am.
I've got a different question. I live on Hedgepeth. About a quarter of a mile up the road is supposedly where they're going to be doing the crushing plant.
Right here.
I want to know about the air quality.
Perfect.
And also the noise level, because I'm in the process of trying to sell my house, and I have not been able to because of the disclosure of the mine.
Okay.
And also the property value has gone down. And I live right on that road, and it's right there on that.
On this right here?
Right there on that corner. I live a quarter of a mile up from between St. Mark's and where it turns, and that's where supposedly the crushing part is going to go.
Right. Well, that's probably a good option.
What about that?
Perfect. So that's probably a perfect opportunity to step into the air piece. So if you just want to give Monique probably 10 or 15 minutes just to walk through some slides, and then we'll come to, Monique will answer many of your questions on air, but we'll jump back into further questions you've got on air as we go. So we'll come to your question. We'll come to the response to your question as Monique moves through this. Okay? As well, yeah, we can pick that up as well.
So what is the plan when is this going to start? At a time period?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, we've got to get through these. So the next steps, I'll just get on this before we talk on air. So key next steps for us. We've got to get our air permit, and we've made the submission for that, and we expect to see a draft from the regulator in the next little while, so, next month or so. Following having those permits, the next step would be rezoning with the county. That'll take some time. We then also need to get the right technical partner for the conversion facility, as I described, and also the financing structure. As I sit here today, that's a minimum of 2 or 3 years away before we're breaking ground. I'm going to go over to you.
All right, so from an air permit perspective, one of the first questions we want to answer is what is a permit? So it's a legal binding document. This is a binding document between, in our case, Elevra and the state of North Carolina. And that tells us all the things we can or cannot do when it comes to our emissions and how we impact the air in the area around us. It also defines what pollutants, and it establishes limits. So all of those things are what an air permit is. Why do we need an air permit? One, to protect the health of the public, to protect the environment, and then also to confirm we understand and are operating responsibly. So if you think about, all of us have various jobs and we have different do's and don'ts we can have or do at work. Our air permit tells us what we can or cannot do. It goes too far to tell us how fast we can run our equipment, how many hours things can run, how many pollutants we can put out. All of those things are outlined and defined in our permit. And so that's the most important reason of why we need an air permit and what it's going to do for us. Some of these things we've already talked about. It's all about protecting the air quality. So first and foremost, public health protection. We need to make sure that you all are protected. We need to understand what is your air consistency today, and we'll go into looking at that a little bit later. And we need to understand how are we going to change that, if at all, so that we can then control it and manage it, and then the state can hold us accountable to that. There are so many strict liabilities. One of the things that has happened while we've been going through this process is the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, they changed one of the parameters. When we first started, particulate matter, which is basically dust, had a certain limit, 12 micrograms per cubic meter. In May of 2024, they changed it to 9. So we had to pause and redo a lot of things within our permit in order to meet the new limit, which we show you we have based on our modeling. But those are the types of things that I want you to understand. Permitting does not just say, oh, you want to go, blast in the middle of the county. And they say, okay, have at it. No, there are strict rules that we have to follow and what that looks like. And we have to be able to calculate how we're going to impact it. Emissions controls. So everything we have to do, there's some type of control. And I'm going to show you some of those controls, whether it's water sprays or equipment and those types of things. And then last but not least, ongoing monitoring. And when I say ongoing, I mean monthly, sometimes daily, that we will have to monitor and report to the state. And then every year there's going to be an annual report that we have to show we were in compliance. They may randomly come and do an inspection. They may randomly come and test. We have to be ready at all times to make sure we're in compliance with the rules and regulations that they provide us when they grant our air permit. So just want to give you a timeline of where we've been and how we're going and what the next steps are. I want you to pay attention. August 2022. Does anybody remember what they were doing August 2022? I do. We were submitting our air permit.
I mean, actually, they come and check the sound out on my property. They come and check the air out on my property.
Well,
now they have set up meters on my dirt road and set it up on my dirt road, checking the sounds and how much sounds was put out in that area. Because I asked them, I said, what is this? What are you doing now?
Right.
Because you hadn't bought this land yet, so what are you doing?
We'll get to it, and we'll talk about noise in a little bit. But in August 2022, we submitted our initial air permit application. That's been 4.5 years. Is it 4.5 or 3.5?
3.5.
3.5. Don't forgive me.
It feels like 4.5.
It feels like 4.5. But 3.5 years we submitted that application. They took it, they reviewed it, and they had a bunch of questions. And so we stopped, went back, and then we submitted the application that they're currently reviewing to grant our permit in January 2023. So what I want you to understand is we don't take lightly when the state comes back and asks us questions, what we're going to do. We don't just go and change whatever numbers we need to change and give it back. We take our time, as Lucas mentioned, we do it right, not fast, so we can ensure we're answering their questions properly and we're meeting their expectations. Now, once they've had it since January 2023, the state has been in their reviews. Now, some things, we've had 3 permit writers. Now, I love permitting. People think I'm crazy, and you can join the crowd. But I love the process of permitting. I just like, it's like a puzzle. You have to fit all the pieces in these little boxes that you have to put together. And so we had one air permit writer. She went to another department. We got a new one. When that change happens, it's basically starting all the way over because we have to educate them and bring them up to speed. Then guess what? We got another permit writer. And so we took another 6 or 7 months to educate them to get us up to speed. So some of this time frame in this last 3.5 years hasn't been because, oh, they're doing something wrong. It's been just trying to make sure all the people involved understood what we were doing and how we were doing it and agreed with the methods that those things were occurring. And as I already mentioned, the change by the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, that happened in May 2024. So again, another pause. We had to go back and redo a lot of modeling, and they had to come back and tell us yes, no on certain things. But we're always ongoing in coordination with the state. Now, our next steps, we have been in collaboration with the state to understand what our permit will look like and what, how we can manage it in a collaborative way. As Lucas mentioned, in the next month or so, that draft permit will become public comment. It will go out to the public. It will be in the newspapers. Everybody can go read it. It's a foreign language to most, and so that's why we wanted to have this so that we could be in front of you to try to explain it in terms that make more sense. Because when you talk about NOx and SOx, it's like, what are you talking about? And so we would just want to use this time to answer those questions. The state will then hold what they call a public hearing, where they will come and allow you to grill them. We will not be involved in that process at all. This is when the public grills the state on what they presented as a permit that they would be willing to grant us. And they take those things very seriously, where they want to hear your concerns, they want to make sure your concerns are addressed, and how it's drafted, and what that looks like. And then last, if all those things go right, we'll get our permit. So that's the process. And we felt like it was important for you to understand that, to know that we're not just in the background, just throwing numbers out and making sure and trying to put that puzzle together quickly. We want to do it right. You may or may not have seen this. We're just putting it up there. This is the same thing that we've been showing all along, but this is our application, and this is the mine permit area that we've put under for the application. It's a little bit easier and better that we've had up many times, so I'm not going to sit here and belabor on that. When it comes to permitting, there are multiple types of permits. There's a general permit, there's small permits, there's what they call synthetic mining, where you would be a bad polluter, but you're going to make sure you control it. And then there's the most stringent, which is a Title V. And Title V means you're exceeding a certain limit, in this case 100 tons per year of certain pollutants. Our project, by the emissions we will emit from the entire site, trigger this criteria. So that means we're getting a Title V permit, the most stringent you can get, state or federal. But then there's special cases, and the special cases are what we call PSD, Prevention of Significant Deterioration. And this is when you hit other triggers, where you have different pollutants and elements that were going above and beyond when it comes to hazardous air pollutants and those types of things. So these are the two types of permits that we're going to have to get for ours. The most stringent, the strictest in state or federal land that you can have. So again, this is not just a check the box exercise. I don't know if I'm doing that or it's doing that. So we talked briefly about the three different pieces of our project. We have the mining, which if we go back to our map, mining activities are over here. And that's where all of the mining activities will be. Then we have what we call concentration. And this is where we take the mining product, this ore, and we take it to concentration to get the lithium to a higher concentration. Then after we leave concentration, this is where the conversion happens, where it would be converted to a lithium hydroxide or a lithium chemical of some sort. So that's how the plant is laid out. And those are the different pieces. Yes?
Initially, I understood that you would have conveyors running. These are going to be above ground conveyors. Are they going to be out of your permit area?
The only one that's outside of our permit area is when we cross Whitesides Road, because we're not permitting Whitesides Road. But all the other conveyors are within our mine permit area. And I say it's out of permit because you can't permit a state road.
Can I ask a question? Why did y'all buy land all the way to Dallas Cherryville Highway if that, and there's so many people in between that still we have our own land? Why did y'all go so far away if y'all don't have any intentions of acquiring any more land?
So Can we pause that 1 second so I can get through this? But make sure we get to that. But thank you for asking. It's a good question, and we have an answer for you. Okay, so we got mining, concentration, and conversion. Now, when I talk about air, what we grouped mining and concentration together in our application. But we still had to look at each piece of it. So when we come to mining, the things are we're going to have controlled drilling, we've got material handling, we're going to do excavation. There's a lot of things. And so these pictures represent some of those activities. The one up here on the top, your left, that's how we put explosives in the ground when we get ready to blast. There's a drill and it puts it down. Here is just loading the trucks. We've got more of loading trucks after we've mined. And then this is just a nice pretty picture of our mine in Quebec, where you can really see what an open pit mine looks like. If you've never seen one, I mean, whether you like mining or not, I think it's a marvel just to see how those things happen. So now that we've understood mining, and I've talked about operations, the pollutants that we have to manage are dust and particulates. And the chemicals of those dust and particulates, outside of just the particulates, are fluorides, chromium, and manganese. Now, we're not adding those chemicals. Those are chemicals in the natural rock themselves. And so when I say the state permits us, they permit us for any and everything that can be there. So we had to measure and take every rock, not every rock, but representative rocks to understand what composition was in those rocks. And that's how we came about with these potential pollutants. And then these below, SOx, which is sulfur oxides, nitric oxide, carbon monoxide, greenhouse gases, methane, all of those are part of really the combustion of trucks and materials. So if you think about it, when you drive your vehicles, all of these you're emitting from your cars. So it's not really different. We're just concentrating in an area and we're measuring and controlled, whereas right now we can go drive as far as we want, as long as we want, let our cars run as long as they want, and nobody's going to come tell us to stop. Well, the state can tell us to stop. And then we have the control methods. So the way we're going to control the dust, primarily in mining activities, water. Now you drive down a country road and there's dust on the ground. There's dust everywhere because nobody's watering the roads unless it's raining. We're going to have water trucks, water sprays in areas to make sure that dust is minimized all the time, not just when trucks are going. And then we've got conveyors. You mentioned the enclosed conveyors. And so the reason we have enclosed conveyors, while we're transporting that material, we want to make sure that there's not dust flying around. And these enclosed conveyors ensure that we're managing it and controlling it better. And then lastly, we do have crushers. You mentioned crushers. In the mining area, in the pits, there are crushers. Because you get big rocks, you can't just put them in there and go through the process. They have to be crushed. And so because that activity does increase the amount of dust, we have limits on the types of crushers we can use and how often these can be used. So that's how the state has managed, and we have control methods in place in the mining area. Yes, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Earlier in the conversation, we all talked about water.
Mm-hmm.
We covered that very well, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So then we went to air, and then you mentioned scrubbers.
Yes. Well, we will have scrubbers. Those are later in the process. Yes, sir.
So you want to tell everybody in this group how a scrubber works?
I will mess it up if I try to do it. I have
Sir, can you tell me how a scrubber works?
Well, in fact, we've sort of anticipated this, so we've got Kirk here. Kirk, why don't you just provide a bit of background?
Yes.
Actually, sorry, just a moment. Should we just whack a microphone on?
Here, I'll just get in mine.
Yeah.
Thank you. So at the bottom line, scrubbers use a liquid to either physically scrub out particulate, or they'll have a caustic or an acidic addition to take out, in the case of say the SO2 we're talking about, there's going to be a caustic in that water to then react with the SO2 to remove it from the gas stream. Or there's some other scrubbers that will have some other additives as well, like a caustic. Most of these will be caustic scrubbers. But yes, the bottom baseline of a scrubber, it's based on water. Water impinging particulates, or the gases absorbing or adsorbing into the water.
And so anyway, you have to spray to do that, basically. You have to sit between that 80%.
Sure. Yeah, you did.
Cocktails.
Right.
You have to rub, that sprays, then it goes down and collect, and you have to bump out to accumulation pond, right?
No.
You want to tank it up?
Okay.
So our water, all the water in our process, we will have an on-site wastewater treatment process. So any water within our process is going to go to that wastewater treatment. It does not go into any type of pond.
No, I understand that. So
Okay.
You're doing your own treatment.
Yes.
So you have to have collection for that. The more volume you do, the more you have to treat.
Correct.
All right, so you're going to do a scrubber.
Yes.
A scrubber is a stainless steel pipe.
Mm-hmm.
You spray water.
Mm-hmm.
And that water has to go down. It
Mm-hmm.
has to accumulate, and you're going to pump to a sludge.
No.
That's a slurry. Somewhere you have to cover it.
So all of our materials in that water from the scrubber will go into it's fully enclosed wastewater treatment system, where we will have tanks and concrete, if you call ponds, but they're not really ponds, concrete basins where our wastewater will be collected. Just like if you go to any city municipality that treats wastewater, ours goes directly from the process to those collection areas, not ponds that are open to the ground.
We had in 2013.
So there are, from a rank...
All this rainwater that you have to take care of plus, right?
So, but our
You can't have it go to the creek.
Our impoundment of any wastewater is internal. It's not external. So the rain is not going to come and mix with that. What you're thinking about are tailings ponds.
Yes.
These are not tailings ponds. These are basins in buildings covered to manage the water that comes from our process.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that not through gravel and all that?
No, these are concrete. I mean,
Well, I mean, even some of you, say,
the ones in Gastonia.
cities, it's got where, your water transfers through this concrete pad that puts this material from the city of Cherville, like all their waste, and they put it through all this gravel, it goes through this gravel, and then it goes to another material.
you're not necessarily talking about process waste. Process waste cannot just touch the ground. It's not permitted. You cannot do that.
So we can't do that with this.
We can and we won't and we're not.
Okay, that's all I was wondering, if it works about the same way.
No, it doesn't.
Processing, and then you collect it all and send it back.
Okay. All right. So
So just the other thing, the question, we don't have any tailings dams either.
That's what I wanted to know.
So there's no tailings dams. We've basically got co-disposal because the material we've got, one, it's benign, and it can be sold off as byproducts and or put back into the waste dumps. So we don't have a tailings dam. So that idea of an overtop or anything like that, it can't or won't happen. We just don't have those sort of ponds.
Well, that's good because a lot of us that lived here a long time remember Duke Energy and our
Oh, yeah. We understand.
Oh, yeah. So that's why there's a little bit of the underlying.
They're trying to make this fake.
Okay. So we'll continue and then we'll again open the floor up for other questions. So we talked about the concentration. So concentration, now that we've got the ore from the mine area conveyed over to the concentrator plant, we're going to have, like I said, enclosed material transport, this is an example of what that looks like as we're converting the ore to the concentration plant. We've got processing equipment, controlled separation, and then everything is nicely engineered. Again, these are pictures from our operation in Quebec, where they're actively doing the processing as a concentration process. So again, we talked about the operations. We got some ore crushing and conveyance, and so that's once we get to the concentration area. To your question, ma'am, there will be minor crushing that happens there, but again, all of those crushing activities, we call it crushing, but it's not the same as crushing where you're hitting something like with a jackhammer or something. This is more internal, controlled in buildings where there will be crushing that occurs as it goes through the process. So you're concerned about noise. We have to have a certain noise level based on the county ordinance at our property line. And those are based on the classification of the area. So we have to meet those classifications in order to be able to operate.
So just as Monique described, that we've got air permit limits, we've got noise limits as well. And if we don't comply, then we've got a problem with the regulator, and they can enforce those things.
So you're not going to you're not going to see a lot of different things on the pollutants. Thank you. It's been a day. It's been a long day. What time is it already? Okay, you're not going to see a lot of difference. The main difference you'll see is we've added hazardous air pollutants. And I want to talk about that very briefly. Once we get to the concentration area, we will have what we call hydrogen fluoride in the process. And hydrogen fluoride is considered a hazardous air pollutant. So we have to control that a little bit differently, which is why you see feldspar dryer is the control. There's a control on the feldspar dryer because that's the material where we could have those emissions. So we can only eliminate so much of that. So how much we can process and operate will be limited so we can stay within those boundaries. So that's the main difference between mining and concentration in regards to the pollutants and the control methods that you'll see. We do also add dust collectors. In a mine, you can't have dust collectors because how are you going to put a big dust collector over the whole mine pit? That's not realistic. We all know that. Now with drones, no, I'm just kidding. Don't get any ideas. Don't get any ideas. But dust collectors, so because we will have concentration and it'll be in a controlled area, there will be dust collectors on operation so that we can make sure the dust from the process is properly captured and managed so we're not exposing it out to the environment. Last but not least is the conversion. And these are, again, you've got enclosed conveyors that are taking the material from the concentrator plant to the conversion site. This is a picture of a calciner. This is the main part of the process where we start really the processing of the spodumene ore to a lithium chemical. And then lastly, this is just a picture of what a plant similar to ours could look like on the exterior. And this is, again, all the same things that we have in place: controls, engineered systems, and material transfer. Nothing.
Very interesting that you've only shown us Canada, which has a very tight restrictions. Can you show us Australia?
Australia has just as tight restrictions, I believe. I mean, I've never worked in Australia.
Sir, you're from there, right?
I am, yeah. No, I mean, so what I can say is that typically once you're in the developed world, so if you're in the US, you're in Canada or Australia, they pretty well much of a muchness. Some areas will have they'll have higher levels on one thing, lower levels on another. It's a bit of a mixed bag. I'd say generally speaking, not a great deal of difference between operating in the US versus Canada versus Australia. If I compared it with, say, Brazil, sure, there's a difference down there. Okay.
And so again, there's not a lot of differences in the pollutants. You will see differences here in the conversion. So we talked about scrubber. This is where you'll see the scrubber. You'll see cyclones. We have had to have certain stack heights. So the state came back, looked at our model and said, no, these stacks need to be certain heights, and we made those adjustments. And then the other big thing that we have here is emergency generators and fire pumps. Obviously, if we lose power and those types of things, we have to have emergency generators. Well, the state even controls how many hours those can operate under our permit. So there's controls everywhere on everything that we do, no matter what it looks like. Now, from a numbers perspective, I'd like for you to look at this. I know it's busy and it's going to look a little complex. The thing that I want you to understand is I talked about 100 tons per year being a trigger. And so we trigger Title V because we're over 100 tons on some of these areas. And those are the critical things. The other thing I mentioned is hazardous air pollutants. So for a hazardous air pollutant, if you have one that's at 10, then you trigger. But so we still have a Title V permit, and we're very close, so all of the same controls are still in place. So we understand this, we've presented it, we've done the modeling. These are our potentials that we would emit with the controls that we have in place. And again, these are things that we are going to have to test 18 months after we start operations. And then again on a set frequency, whether it's every year or every 2 years.
Are the potentials on the modeling based on your
Full production. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and the other thing I would add, not only full production, full capacity, everything operating every hour of the year that's permitted. So yeah, the actual emissions going into the air in a given year will always be less than those numbers. And if they're not, that's a violation, then the state will take action. But that will not happen.
Yes, sir.
Your three processes, what is your projected, like, hours per day or a week or whatever, like timeline, they can run 24/7?
So concentration and conversion can run 24/7, other than certain equipment that we would have to limit. The mine, we are limited on when we can blast, but the mine itself will operate 24/7. But we can't blast 24/7, obviously.
What's your blast limits?
I'm sorry?
What's your blast limits? I mean, how many hours a day?
So we can't. I always get this. So we look at.
It's an hour after sunrise, and an hour before sunset. and we can't. And we can't blast Christmas Day, Thanksgiving, all those sort of Sundays, those sort of things.
Yep. And so Gaston County has provided those ordinances for us.
So this is going to be a big employee for trouble too, is it not?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
This is time I can ask about the air quality.
Yes, ask whatever questions you like.
Okay, so coming here not really knowing what to expect, but have seen disasters or heard of disasters in the past. I had a whole litany of questions. We do get some breezes in the area. It can get quite breezy here, and as you see now in February and March. I've heard of disasters where houses were covered in dust and soot. I've heard of trees dying because if the leaves get coated, the trees die, so that's plants. Obviously, that would get into the noses of our animals, whether they're pets or, cattle. And I want to know, okay, so now we got these new sites. You guys are coming on board. It looks like you're trying to do the thing. Are you going to have a way, maybe a site or something, that if people have a concern, their fruit trees didn't hit this year, something happened, where we can go and say, hey guys, I know you said you've been trying, but looks like there's a little oops or a back window that was left open or something happened, that we can call and start getting action or interest. I think what most people are worried about is being ignored. You're a small little thing, we have this thing going for you, and that's all it is. I think people want to know that you're going to be accountable for what you're saying, that you're going to run a good thing. I pray you do. We could use the prosperity. I'm not against them. But running it at the course of making everybody else here miserable, we've settled here. Like I said, I'm new to the area, really. These people have been here forever. They have time out of mind, love, and family, and they have dreams for their grandchildren and great-grandchildren to be here. And that's what caught me up with it, is that the interest is, okay, the train's coming through. We get it. Can we do this right? At this stage of the game, with the kind of money we're talking, with the kind of innovations we have today, will it be applied to the fullest to make sure that we're protecting that? And that we're not looked at as like, oh, you some small little people, too bad for you. We're a multi-million, trillion-dollar operation. We don't give a flip if it's good for you or not. We're here and we're done, and that's it. So it's, I want to know that when I go out to have my cup of coffee in this beautiful area, that all of a sudden I don't get a whiff of like sulfur blast and something. We want to keep the environment the same. If you can be here without making any footprint on us, I really don't need to know what you're doing either.
So what I will tell you is one of the requirements we have, because of the most stringent permit we have, is for us to evaluate best available control technology, or BACT. And so that says the state wants us to see, have we implemented the best that we can possibly implement in order to control our emissions? And they will determine, we say this is the best available, this is what we're implementing, they will say yes or no. So in our case so far, they've given a green light to all the things that we've proposed in our permit. Now once we see the actual permit, there may be some things that are different, and we'll work through that. But right now, based on our conversations and what we applied in our permit, we've done that due diligence, and the state so far agrees. So that's one thing I can say in regards to, are we doing the best controls? Now, you mentioned, windy days and those types of things, and Kirk can correct me if I say something wrong. But in our modeling, we have to put conditions of the environment around us. And so that tells us on windy days or non-windy days what kind of impact we're going to have. All of our modeling says at our property line, this is what those limits are. And this is what these numbers say. At our property line, when it comes to particulate matter, nitrous oxide, carbon monoxide, this is how much we will impact the current background. Right now, these are the levels, and these levels are in micrograms per cubic meter. Today, the as-is air quality in this area around our project have these numbers for particulate matter. There are two particulate matters, bigger and smaller, and then also for NOx and carbon monoxide. and then this is what we're adding. When we look at how we impact that, we're under 50% of the national air quality limits. But when it comes to us, the only one that's higher is this nitrous oxide, and it's still within limits, and it still has us below the national air quality impacts.
You say that about national air quality, so you look at New Jersey, New York, California, places that you live. It's true. So you go there to here. We're probably the 10 or 20%.
Oh, we're definitely, we're in what they call a non-attainment area where we have every attainment. That's why he's here, because I always say the wrong words. I tell everybody he's the better half of my brain. But we use the...
Look at it, what it is
No.
now.
Just to clear up what you just said, these are national ambient air quality standards. So these are the levels that nowhere in the country you're supposed to go over. Now, there are non-attainment areas, New Jersey, New York, California. Most states have them. This one, the 9.0, that's going to drive vast majority of the entire country into non-attainment because of that standard. You'll notice right now the background is 8, the standard is 9. That's here. That's right here. That's not some theoretical someplace else. That's right here. So if this area is 8, just think what Charlotte is, what Cherry Bowl might be, as opposed to rural area outside of Cherry Bowl. So these are standards that apply across the country, and then sometimes states will have their own called state ambient air quality standards that may be lower. They can never be higher than the national ones. But these don't represent averages across the country. These are like a speed limit that you can't exceed. And if you do, then that has permitting ramifications. That has that even impacts transportation projects. Because everything that an entity does, whether it's a county, a state, a private industry, they have to make sure that their operations are allowing an area to be in attainment for all these standards. Hopefully that makes sense. Sometimes I go a little deep technically, so I don't think I use any acronyms. So
you might just explain the monitoring that we've got as well.
Oh, I know one other thing I wanted to say. Sorry. Okay. When you're talking about winds, when we do modeling, we model 5 years of meteorological data, hourly data, from like an airport or a weather station nearby the area. So 5 years is a good long time to actually get representative impacts from a facility or from whatever you're modeling. And actually, usually the windy days, you have lower impacts because the wind is actually, you got more air moving, so it dilutes everything.
Well, I'm just saying, if dust were to settle,
yes,
because it might bring the thing,
right,
the smell. Maybe the smell will stay there. I don't know if there is a smell from mining. I don't really want to find out.
Right.
I used to, many moons ago, lived in New York. We had something called Jamaica Bay, and when that comes to get you, you know it. You always try to swat it off. It's that bad, but
right.
Here it's nice. It's beautiful.
Yep.
We have lots of flowers and smelly things.
Right. Yeah. I just wanted to let you know that the modeling accounts for, 5 years. You can kind of get every weather condition. Not everyone, but the vast majority of that are going to happen.
But what I'm following up the question is, when or if, maybe there'll never be a problem, which is great. I'm assuming there might be little ones here and there. I want to know that there was a predetermined work on that where you guys, okay, let's lay out, we have people for this, we have people for that,
Yes.
There's a hotline for this, there's somebody going to get back to you, there's a turnaround time.
So what I will tell you is, and we even have it today on our website where if people want to come and tell us things, but we will have a specific place for people to come and give concerns, complaints, and those types of things. So it's easy to find, it's easy to get to, and anything that you have, we will address. We will come back to you and let you know what we're doing, how we're doing it, and what that looks like.
That's also the purpose of the Cherryville office here. So once we're in operations, communications will ramp up differently. We'll have our office, we'll have an office there on site, we'll have a hotline, we'll have an email, we'll have it all. So there will always be constant interaction, constant communication.
The other safeguard that you should think about as well is that, we haven't seen the final permit, but we will have obligations to meet those levels and those actions, and we'll have to measure that and report it to the regulator. So if you think that we're out of, despite all those positive things that Melissa described, if you still think we're not holding up our end of the bargain, you let that regulator know, and then they're going to come and chase us.
Like I said, I don't think most people they have their own lives, they have their
No,
own
I agree, but
we'd rather not bother you. But if we're getting bothered,
no, then there's pathways there.
So
our first preference is that you engage with us directly,
Yeah.
but what I wanted to share with you is that you don't just have to take our word for it. That's why the regulator and the state exist on these things, and that's why they give us permits, because, as Monique said, they're like the speeding limit. And if we're exceeding it, they're going to come and give us a whack.
Yes, ma'am.
I did have a question. You mentioned that your national air quality standards also would relate to transportation projects. Is there a correlation between this presentation and your application for an air quality permit and the state of North Carolina's state implementation plan and these planned transportation projects that are happening right now?
And when you say transportation, you mean like
a change in the transportation. They're wanting to go to multimodal transportation systems because they're realigning our air quality standards because they just switched from being a non-attainment for our ozone to attainment with a maintenance plan. So I'm just asking for how that meshes. Now, I will say the only area not impacted in Gaston County was the Cherryville Township. And they were a maintenance area. Everybody else was a non-attainment previously. Now, they applied and it's been granted, but we have to have a maintenance plan now.
So I'll say this, and then if Kurt can add anything. If you look at where those areas are, it's primarily because of interstate traffic going through and the emissions from those.
Yes.
Our project doesn't really impact any of those things that state is doing in that area because of where we are, and we haven't triggered them to do anything different because of us in particular. So was that your question?
No. According to the state implementation plan for air quality, they not only take into consideration interstate travel and secondary roads and any kind of transportation system, they also have to account for any industrial or point source, non-point source air pollutions.
Yes.
So my question is, how does that mesh with what's happening with what the state has applied for, the EPA is in the process of trying to grant?
Sure. And actually, if you could go back to the potential to emits. This is our VOC. Basically, VOC and NOx are the two pollutants for ozone creation, and they work together. And if there's not enough of one, then if there's not enough NOx, the ozone won't convert, or the VOC won't convert to ozone. But our VOC numbers are extremely low from a ozone non-attainment standpoint. And NOx is a bit higher. So we did do an ozone impact evaluation in our permit application. And so the question of whether the state's including this in their transportation plan and their SIP planning, that would be a question for the state because they typically have thresholds of emission sources that over that they need to include it, below that they don't need to include it. Unfortunately, I don't know those off the top of my head. But yes. Very good question.
Is there an odor with mining that we should be concerned about? Like when you do blast caps, are we going to smell like some sulfur afterwards? Like
No.
Streets in New York after 4th of July? Something?
Not a chance.
No.
I don't be in New York on the 4th of July.
No. From when you think... there's other minings that add more chemicals than what we're adding, and that's a lot of times where you get odors. But based on the chemicals we're using and the processes we're taking, there's no odor. Yes.
Are there any plans to have independent regulators on your site full time?
No. Our site is not large enough.
The state, EPA, and everything is going to rely on the data that you transfer to them, right?
Well, what the state does require is that at certain 18 months after we start, once we're full operation, we do have to bring a third-party contractor on to do the testing of all of our emissions. They don't sit. Yeah, they don't sit on the site all the time. But we come in. They come in 18 months after, and then they'll come in at a set frequency. Yes. Yes. So, sorry, I didn't understand your question quite.
I didn't phrase it right.
That's okay. We're good. Yes, ma'am.
If you'll go back to the slide of the one that had the.
With the table?
What it is now, what
Yeah.
the impact is, and then what the regulation is for the state. So I'm asking if I'm understanding this correctly. So right now, and I'm just going to read the first one because it's all it's 39.
Yes, ma'am.
And then the impact of Carolina Lithium is 29.6.
Yes, ma'am.
The combined impact is 69.
Mm-hmm.
And which technically is below the national air quality limit.
Yes, ma'am.
And, you know, and I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But my question is, so we've got a 39 now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to become 69. And while that's under the limit, it's still whatever, whatever it is.
It's dust.
Dust. Dust.
10 microns.
It's going to be, you know, it's going to be not quite twice of what it currently is. So that is an impact to the quality of where it currently is. Are you all required to mitigate those impacts, or it's okay that you increase the impact?
So these numbers are with mitigation. So we've already mitigated.
That's after the mitigation.
Correct. And so that's what these numbers are, post-mitigation. And because we're under the national air quality limit, and basically what the EPA has said is if you're under these limits, you're not going to be a factor to human health. And so because we're on...
Cumulatively also with everything else happening.
Yes. That's what the combined. That's our number's 30, but what you all have going on, what's going on in the area today is 39.
Gotcha.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it answers my question. I don't like it, but
Understood. Yes, sir.
This lady over here, she had a question earlier. I kind of want to hear that.
Okay, I'm sorry, what did I not answer?
It was the land on Dallas Streetable Highway.
Yeah, so we live
Okay.
off the white side.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And so I know that y'all own the fields out of Fort Road.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a section that y'all don't own in between there and right past the first bridge.
Yes, ma'am.
So why did y'all buy land so far out if y'all don't have plans to acquire any more land?
So I'll go back to Piedmont days. When Piedmont was started, we knew we had a mine permit area. We went where the spodumene was. It was here. So we started planning our project based on what we could do. And that's where the current mine permit boundary came in. But we also understood there was a potential that there could be spodumene in other areas. So our previous leadership was buying other land for future growth opportunities. So
at some point, y'all might expand years down the road because it's a belt, right?
Yeah,
so it's not only going to be in that one little area.
Yeah, so I think, as this gentleman asked, does that mean we're never going to acquire land? Short answer is, again, I've never been at this long enough, never say never. But for the foreseeable future, we won't be acquiring any more land.
Okay.
So,
But what are we supposed to do, the ones that didn't sell? What are we supposed to do now that have a house, that you don't want the land, you're not going to buy the land, nobody else wants the land because you're there. Nobody wants to buy a house at the end of a mine. Nobody wants the traffic where we're going to be stuck putting up with every day. So what are people that didn't sell supposed to do? We are stuck in a no man's land where all these houses have been burned down. And now we're just here with no property value going down, down, down. You know, what are we supposed to do?
yeah, so I don't have a smart answer that's going to make you sort of feel satisfied about that. The reality is, we've acquired the land that we require for the project. I mean, what I would hope and expect to happen is that as we develop the project and we're able to, increase employment in the area and those sort of things, property prices in those instances will recover. But if people are expecting or anticipating that we're going to be acquiring more land, the short answer is we won't be acquiring any more land.
So we're just stuck.
The other thing too, part of your company acquired these lands at exuberant prices.
Yeah.
And now we all who live around here are paying the price in increased tax bills because our property values skyrocketed. Because gee, next door you paid $1.5 million for a house that wasn't worth it. And so we're all sitting here paying those taxes now. I mean, I know we should be asking our commissioners about this. Of what
Ma'am, I think you hit the nail on the head there. We don't set land tax. And I understand your frustration, and I've got empathy, but at the end of the day, that's
a figure like that, being able to sell it with an artificially inflated.
Well, that probably we have to go to the local and state people and say, no, you need to knock my taxes back down. You're making money on him, so you need to give me back some. That's what we need to do.
They're getting there. They're going to be getting there.
Yeah, well, what I've lost already is the time that you guys have been in here.
Well, maybe you can whisper in their ear while you're making them all this money.
We're paying land tax as well.
To feed the hungry right now.
Yes, sir.
What you guys didn't talk about, obviously there's got to be infrastructure to get doors, et cetera, out, rail yards, highways have to be increased.
Yeah, the road system, yeah.
And we're having to. Rail spur from, down.
So this red line here represents the rail spur that we anticipate adding, as you mentioned. In regards to roads and infrastructure, we had to do a traffic study in order for everybody, the county, to approve. And the traffic study will impact whether or not the county would rezone and those types of things, and impact how we have to manage. DOT, Department of Transportation, has reviewed the project and all of those aspects. So your question is,
where will it be? How's rail spur? Everybody would come off the heads.
Yes, and so this is
have highway infrastructure, which is either Dallas Sheriff or Highway 150.
So Hephzibah Church Road is here, and that's where the rail spur does come off of.
Yes,
in regards to, we have not been in conversation with Department of Transportation or anybody about changing any of the infrastructure of the roads in the area today. So I can't speak to what that looks like, if there will be or if they're required to be at this time.
So no planned road closures?
There are some road closures. So Hephzibah Church Road runs right through the mine permit area. So Hephzibah Church Road, from essentially pretty much from Adderholt all the way through until we get to, Whitesides, would be closed. But, it's the mine permit area. So, and we had to do a traffic study to understand the impact to those in the area. So how all these people that use Hephzibah Church Road to get around now, what does that look like? The traffic study looked at that and took major points, looked at emergency personnel, how does fire trucks, ambulances get to area. And during that review, even with the county involved and the state, we weren't impacting it enough where it was something that they would decline. So right now, they support those road closures. We have not asked for those road closures, obviously, because we haven't started the project.
What will be your main access to the plant?
So because there are two... I don't recall based on our layout, so I don't want to speak.
This far and I've got no idea about that.
I'm sorry?
Y'all this far in the project?
It's in there. I'm sorry. I should know that. I should, but I don't know the answer to
From
that.
our permit, if you allow me to speak.
Yes.
From the mine side, that would come off of up here.
Oh, I see it there.
Yeah, so this bottom pit part, if you're worried about the Forest Dellinger neighborhood, there will be a gate there, but it's only for emergency personnel. So if there were something to happen on site, paramedics and fire trucks could get in this way. But the main entrance to the mine would be up there where Monique is pointing, also with the concentrator entrance up there, and then for the hydroxide facility, Yes, correct. We're Monique.
Tell us what roads that is.
That's Hepzibah Church Road, where the rails. Can you go back to the other better? Not. Yeah. So where the rail spur is, Hepzibah Church Road. You can see that white rectangle up here. That's Walmart. It's a good destination for everybody. Everybody knows where Walmart is. So you come across Hepzibah Church Road. This right here is Arnell.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm trying to point with my lip gloss.
It's the.
Okay, R&L right here, Rutherford Electric here, so Hepzibah Church comes along. Here's the four-way stop that everybody runs to the stop sign at St. Mark's Church Road in Hepzibah. So St. Mark's comes all the way down. You can't really see the bridge intersection right here at Dallas, Cherville, St. Mark's. Anthony Grove cutting up through here. Hepzibah Church, of course, goes here for some reason at this intersection, turns to Will Kaiser. So Will Kaiser comes this way. Hepzibah Church, you make the turn. Whitesides Road coming all the way down to Dallas Cherville intersection here. And then there's planned a gate here for the mine site. This is where our permit starts. So just past the intersection of Whitesides and Hepzibah Church. So this portion of Hepzibah Church will be closed. Right here is Hastings Road, if you're familiar with that, and then Marshall Island Trail, that dirt road. And then you come down the sharp curve right here, and then the gate outside of our permit boundary, and then you come into the Forest Dellinger neighborhood here. So you'll still be able to access the Forest Dellinger neighborhood off of Adderholt Road. And then, of course, Adderholt Road goes up through here. So that is the extent of the mine side that will remain open as well.
Is that map available somewhere?
Yes.
Actually, this entire presentation is going to be available.
Okay, cool.
Yes,
Right.
and
So like your website.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
on the comment cards, if y'all leave your emails, I can send you copies of this map. We have it up here as well if you just want to take a snapshot with your phone. It's the same map that's up here, has the neighborhoods and road names as well.
Well, it's okay that, logistics, we see the real one. But there's only a couple major highways, 150 bypass, Highway 64. The rest of the roads you mentioned are secondary roads.
Mm-hmm.
So how does employees, how does everybody get there? Because if we live in that area, we're going to have 2 to 3 times traffic issues.
Like your trucks now, what's your main road? Is Whiteside School a dead end? And some of the other roads are dead end? So is that going to be the main road in and out off of 274?
So again, traffic studies have been done to anticipate what that looks like, looking at our truck traffic that would leave the site, what times, and those types of things. And there will be an impact. I'm not going to say there's not going to be an impact. There's going to be more traffic than there is today. Where people are going to come from, it depends on where they live. So I can't tell you which direction or which roads are good.
Y'all's main way in and out?
Yeah.
So the main, as she just mentioned, the main entry point is going to be one here off Hepzibah Church Road.
How do you get there from what highway?
They'll have to come from Hepzibah, Will Kaiser, from 150, or they can come up Whitesides.
Okay, you're talking about Whiteside as a residential area.
I understand.
Throwing heavy equipment through there constantly. I don't know if you know.
I don't know that. I can't tell you where the trucks are going to come from. Understood.
Well, transfer trucks comes down Hepzibah Church Road. I lived there for 30 years. When Walmart went in, everybody comes that way. So you already got traffic there. With transfer trucks.
You're not just talking about tractor, you're talking about heavy equipment and frequency. You know,
when you say heavy equipment, what do you mean? Our trucks from the mine will not go on those main roads. Our trucks on the mine stay on our property. So I want to be very clear.
You're talking about excavators being moved in. Once they're in there, I understand.
Okay.
But once they're moved
okay, I just wanted to make sure you didn't think it was constant big. Okay. Understood. The construction part. Understood.
I know you're not going to be running big dump trucks, mining trucks.
Okay.
You're
Just
not
making
going to get on
sure.
them roads.
The 10 roads you thought might be impacted, where are they?
So during our water study, the modeling showed that the main impacted wells are in this corner here. And we've got And I mean, we can have detailed conversation, as Emily said. If you want to have us call you, we can talk about the exact parcels and what that looks like, so you can get an idea of what our modeling shows.
I've got a question about air quality. Has radon been checked? Because according to the state, that area has a very high concentration of radon that follows the lithium belt. So that you haven't talked about radon with blasting and disrupting the soil. How can the surrounding residents know what the radon levels will be?
I can help answer that from a geology perspective. Do you know how to mitigate radon if you have it in your basement?
Yeah, the thing is, well, then you go out the
But have y'all checked the radon levels?
But to mitigate radon is just to expose it.
But have y'all
You can't have a
So the answer to your question.
You haven't said nothing about radon in all your testing.
Do you want to speak?
Sure. The reason we haven't said anything about radon, there's certain pollutants that are regulated from an air emission standpoint. Radon is not one of them, and so we have not considered it.
Who's in charge of mitigating the radon? Who's doing the testing?
So, to your point, obviously, like today, if you buy a house, they suggest you do radon testing at your home. So we can look at that and evaluate how we do that on site once we get to that point of operation. It wouldn't really do us any good to do any testing today, because it's not something that you test today and it's going to be the same 5 years from now. So we understand your question. I'm not going to tell you exactly what that looks like, but we will take it into consideration in our whole profile of how we process.
The radon's also in the water.
I can't speak to that part. We haven't. I don't know. We haven't. We have had to do radon testing in the water during our.
So what we'll do is we'll take your details and we'll take the question on notice and come back to you.
We have quite a few questions from the live chat.
Oh, I didn't know there was a live chat. Okay.
Yes. Some of them are a little bit.
What we do, I think this gentleman's.
Got a strong balance sheet, but income statement, operation, are you property?
Yeah. You wait for the half year results are out 24th of January. February.
But as of June 2025?
We were not. Yeah, we're 26 now, yeah.
Where lithium prices are right now, does this make sense?
Yes.
You can be proud.
Yes.
Again, the concern I got is just that, again, in this kind of change, especially from a technology standpoint, if you get into this and it isn't profitable and scars the property and the land and you leave. So this makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, we're not in the habit of investing in things if we don't think they're going to work, they're going to be environmentally responsible, and they're not going to return a return for shareholders. So we've got to be able to make those. And that's why, you know what I said, we're not rushing to get this thing built tomorrow. We're going to take our time and work through it methodically. You know, we're going to need the right technical partner. We're going to need that financing structure as well. So we're not betting the farm on it. So the project makes sense, yes, but it needs the right settings.
How long will it take to get everything built?
Building time probably around two years from the time we start breaking ground, but then the ramp up period's probably about another 18 months after that as well. So instead, we'll take two more, and then we better take some of these folks online. Others will have a ride. Yes, ma'am.
So talk about the conversion. I think it's conversion department that we want to have to do a conversion
Yes.
plan here. So how many conversion plants are there?
So right now there's one in Corpus Christi that Tesla has built, and they've just commissioned using the same technology that we're planning on doing here.
And then what is currently technically what's currently being processed at the plants that Kings Mountain does for city? I guess it depends on where you live, whether you call it Kings Mountain or for city. But what are they processing at that plant?
So as I understand it, they're bringing carbonate in, bringing a lithium carbonate in and then taking to a hydroxide or other variants of that. So right now there's no one that's mining spodumene, concentrating spodumene in the US. So, for example, Tesla, that Corpus Christi facility, they're taking our spodumene concentrate from NAL down to Corpus Christi, Texas. And then they're converting it there.
And that, what I'm hearing is NIL, is that the one you had?
In Quebec.
A something, it was up in Canada?
Yeah, North American Lithium, NIL, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry, it's the accent, don't worry. You're about the 8th person I've confused today, so that's no problems.
So yeah, North America Lithium is what we call NAL.
Yeah. No, you were thinking my A was an I. Yeah.
One more quick thing.
Sorry, just a gentleman back there has been very patient.
I know I'm going a little far ahead in the future here. But,
Sure.
What is the plan after this is all over with?
Look, I think there's probably a couple of things to contemplate. One is, obviously with the mine, it's got a finite geological, you can only mine so much ore. But once the conversion facility is here, you can certainly import concentrate. And, one of the options that we've got is that for the development of the Carolina project, we might actually build the conversion facility first and bring the spodumene down from NAL.
Oh, that's not quick.
No, I understand, but I'm coming to it. What I'm saying is there's life after the mine's been extracted. So two things will happen. As we're mining, we'll rehabilitate. So that means that, we rehabilitate the dumps. I think we end up with one void that'll effectively be filled with water. But the plant could continue to take on other sources of spodumene, whether that's in some of those other areas that we described earlier on. So this is a project that's got the ability to be around for generations.
Yes, but will it be, I guess what I say is, rehabilitating the environment? Will it be, what will happen after that?
So with the rehabilitation, effectively there's landforms. So I think Kings Mountain's probably a good example, where areas will get rehabilitated. So, you'll have the dumps that'll be shaped, and then effectively there's ways of being able to either return that to pasture or to some other useful landform. The idea is not to leave big waste dumps. Yes, there you go. Yeah, but and we're talking that's the difference in societal expectations.
Right.
Exactly.
And so, part of our permit is how we're going to close it. And so one of the things that we have in our permit is that when we get to end of life of mine, we will have community input into what that looks like. And so we haven't defined what it's going to look like today. That will be something that we will develop over time.
But we will have obligations to rehabilitate.
Correct.
Ma'am, it's like the last one before we jump on there. We've got to share, that's all.
Okay, I get that. Elon Musk at one time, the papers or something, I saw them actually entertaining something with Piedmont Lithium. It looked like it fizzled out. Is that, since you're referring to the place in
Corpus
Texas,
Christi, yeah.
Do you think Elon will come back? And is there other things you're also going to be mining and extracting that makes the mine quite profitable? Will it somehow maybe end up back in the community?
There's some byproducts that will generate, but the main game is lithium.
Right.
We currently supply material to Tesla from North American Lithium. So that contract that Piedmont had, when we merged as Sayona and Piedmont to create Elevra, we inherited that contract. So we have got a deal with Tesla right now. That runs through till the middle of this year. We're negotiating potential extensions, but like all these things, it's got to make economic sense for our shareholders.
I thought Elon was converting to sodium.
No.
Nope. Okay.
First off, for the viewers online, I do want to acknowledge some of the questions have been backlogged, so they're not there for me to be able to read anymore. So if you can please resend them if you ask questions early on. We'll get to those at the end. The first question I can see, do you guys still own land on or around Tryon Courthouse Road that's near the Beam Hallman mine?
Yes, we do still own land around Tryon Courthouse Road.
Okay. and some of these are a little bit of a rehash, but is county water going to be made available for homes within a certain radius of the mine?
So,
yes, as we described earlier, if you currently got wells and then that's impacted, there would be a case, and we couldn't reinstate a well, there would be a case there, but it's not a situation that we're rolling out municipal water.
Is the blasting going to be within noise ordinance ranges?
Yes, it has to be.
I know one of the earlier questions while I was looking, or maybe I don't. We're not going to try and do things from memory.
Will there be vibrations and tremors in the ground? Will we feel anything?
So there's, I don't want to get too technical, and I'm not a blasting expert, but Lucas has done blasting before. But there's a Z curve that they call it that says how much impact will be had by blasting. And based on the studies that have been done, there may be minimal impact outside of our mine permit boundary. What you'll feel is more air blast, where you just like get a blast of air, but not necessarily a blast. That's what they call it. But by the time it gets off our property, it will be little to no impact.
Another one is, will the blasting affect foundations of homes in the area?
Based on the Z curve analysis, no.
Okay.
Well, then why did they send, your prior company, send letters to homeowners, them send a third party on the properties that they hadn't
we got one of those letters.
anywhere near, and want to document your house, the Lord.
Yeah, so those things are really just precautionary, so that if something happened down the track, no one's arguing about whether that crack was in the wall before or not, because,
So the homeowner could technically still document that themselves prior to
Yes.
For sure.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
We have another viewer looking for a rehash on where the water is coming from for the project.
So the water will come, based on the current proposed project and the conversations we've previously had with Gaston County, the water will come from 3 rivers in Gastonia through the pipe system that kind of basically goes on that map I showed down Dallas Charitable and then go around our property.
Next question is, how was this meeting advertised to citizens?
So the way this meeting was advertised is we did this like we do most of our town halls, where we draw a boundary around the mine permit area and we send invites to all of those areas. What was our boundary this time, Emily?
3,500 feet, and it was over 680 parcels.
So we went out 3,500 feet from our mine permit boundary around the whole site, and that's where the cards were sent.
And then a few neighborhoods where some of the parcels were inside that 3,500 feet, we just sent it to the whole neighborhood. And then we also put flyers in the Charitable Post Office, the Krause Post Office, at the Chamber of Commerce info box, and then in my office on Main Street Charitable as well, and advertised it on social media. And I know Wise News Network also advertised it on their pages, and share it on other Charitable Town Talks, all those talk pages as well.
Okay. Next one is the blast times again.
So blasting cannot occur 1 hour after sunrise, and it's got to be, and last blast has got to be 1 hour before sunset, and no blasting on Sundays, Thanksgiving, Christmas Day, those sort of key holidays.
How many do you anticipate a day?
No more than 2. But
Probably one. So
typically, I can tell you from an operational perspective. From an operational perspective, you typically don't want them, more frequently than 1 anyway. So,
Next question is, who's going to be paying for all the infrastructure? I'm not sure what infrastructure they're referring to, but that's the question.
Water, roads, any kind of infrastructure coming into your project area.
So the water lines and all those things will be paid for by us. That's the only infrastructure that, we'll need utilities and those types of things, so obviously we're going to pay for whatever needs to be to bring those, but I don't know what other infrastructure they're
So nothing ends up on the taxpayer's back to be paying for to bring this in. In other words, we don't get the bill.
You do not.
No special interest on our water bill.
No, we won't be going to the county asking for increased taxes to pay for things.
Right, for roads and things like that.
That won't be from us.
Okay.
what the county decides to do, but that's a separate question.
Will you be
construction of the railroad spur, or at least the cost of the construction of the railroad spur?
Yes.
The next one is, do you expect housing prices to return back up? Which
I think the short answer is yes. I think on the back of the prosperity that and the employment opportunities that the project will bring. But I certainly understand and are empathetic to the issues that people raised earlier.
Let's see. That's the same question. Will the pit be filled after excavation?
So we plan to do progressive reclamation. So what that means is as we open pits and they are emptied out, we will refill them, except for the last pit, which will remain unfilled. Am I going the wrong way?
Which is the last pit?
Sorry?
Which is the last pit?
So the last pit is this pit up here.
The north pit?
The north, yes.
The one next to our house.
That's the last one.
You might have a lake view.
You don't have a lake view?
Yeah.
Your values will skyrocket then.
One side of our house, and the north pit's on the other side.
So you'll have private lake view.
Yes, go ahead.
It's just simple. How will everything be exported from your site? Is it totally by rail car?
Based on the analysis that we set out in our initial project in the application, it will go in bags and 18-wheelers.
I know this is not a question, but on those, so the little things look like little hats are the different pits.
Yes. These are the pits.
Which one is first?
This here, South Pit.
And then what's next? I mean, what's just the order plan?
So 1, 2, 3, 4.
Maybe get that in.
I'm always careful to say not in my lifetime because you don't know how long that's going to be.
You got any more?
Yes. One of the plants will be within a few hundred yards of a daycare and school. Can you guarantee the safety of those children?
Yes, there are industrial plants near schools today, so it won't be any different.
Do you have any plans for the land around Tryon Courthouse Road, which, again, is the Beam Holman mine?
Right now, we're evaluating all the land outside our mine permit area, and so that's once we understand what that looks like, we'll determine what we're going to do with that land.
When will water be fixed? Will we be reimbursed or have to buy our own water?
So I'm assuming they're saying if they're impacted. So as we mentioned before, once we're notified, we have 24 hours to make sure you have water. And if you have to buy water within that 24-hour period, yes, we will reimburse. And then we will start the process of making good.
Have you checked all available hazards, and will this become the next Libby, Montana disaster?
I'm not familiar with Libby, Montana.
He actually gave an explanation of what that was earlier, but it's gone now.
Okay. Well, if we can document that one, and just, I don't know enough to know the answer to that. My baby's going to Montana in August 1st. So.
Does the blasting affect barometric pressure?
So
go.
You go ahead.
Well, as Monique described, you will see what we describe as an air blast, but it'll be consistent with probably opening the oven. That sort of like you get a bit of a puff out, and that's what we're talking about. Well, but we're not talking about this is not something that's going to knock you out or knock you off your feet. I mean, it'd be like a bit. It's like an air blast. It's like just a.
It's going to affect weather's hazards.
No, absolutely. No, not at all. Not at all. Very temporary.
The Montana comment she was looking at was related to asbestos.
Oh, I got my ear. So asbestos is not within this project. I mean, it's not. We've done testing of the rock; it doesn't exist. And I know that there's a perception that mining there's asbestos particles, but there's been so much research that's done, and we've been in part of that early on in the process. I can speak to the fact that we've evaluated ours, and everything is okay. and within limits.
What number of jobs do you propose this will bring to the area? Remember there's
Melissa, do you want to jump up and
Yeah, so.
We took it out.
what did you?
Based on,
The number.
based on the operation, I mean, it's gonna bring, think about it, you've got 3 different phases to this operation. You're gonna have people who work in mining, concentration, the whole gamut. So you're looking over, I don't know, I mean, anywhere from, you could be up to 400 jobs.
Maybe I'll just give you an example. So the mine that we've got in Quebec, about the same size as what we've got over 400 people employed just in the mine. And we've got a mine and concentrator in Quebec, and then so we'll be talking about the conversion facility as well. So you're talking probably another 100, 150 there. So they're just the direct jobs.
Right.
Then you've got the indirect jobs. So, there's mechanics that need to service the vehicles and all these sort of things. So it's the add-on. So we'd like to think that we'll be a significant employer in the region.
Because it's changed, of course, since when we first started. Right. Yeah.
Will you be paying for the installation of electrical infrastructure and gas infrastructure needed at the plant?
We will have to pay for that infrastructure to our location, yes.
Okay. It's going now. They're asking more.
Okay.
Will the industrial plant produce lithium-based compounds, and if so, which ones? Examples: lithium carbonate, lithium hydroxide, butyl lithium, etc.
So based on what we've permitted for, we will produce lithium hydroxide.
Oh, okay. I believe I've made it to the end of the questions.
Oh, okay.
No, come on, you're disappointing me. Yes, sir.
If I'm understanding correctly, okay, you're coming in here, you're going to open up a mine, you're building the processing plant, and to send out the finished product. Or finished
lithium chemical, yeah.
Yeah, the lithium chemical. Now, once the mine's done, the processing plant, all the other infrastructure is built, you are expecting it to still operate. Am I assuming correctly there?
Yeah, so Monique, if you just go back, I think, so if,
which way
just
you
go
want
to
me
the
to
3, oh, just go to
I'm going the wrong way.
Just the 3. No. Yeah.
You.
So as Monique described, we've got 3 operations. We've got the mine, the concentrator, which concentrates the material from the mine, and then the conversion, which takes the concentrate from there. So right now, just as an example, we could build this. We could go ahead and build this without the mine, and bring, for example, the spodumene from Quebec.
Okay.
All right. So coming to your question, then, so in the future, if we mined out all the ore we've got here in North Carolina, we could either go exploring, try to find some more ore, or look to import concentrate from, Canada or something like that. So the short answer is, once we've got that facility up and running, you really want to try to keep that thing going and feed it. If we determine we can't get a viable feed source, our obligation will be to reclaim the site. So effectively, we'll take it away.
Y'all were talking, Piedmont was talking about bringing in from Ghana also. Would you still be doing that, maybe, if you open the facility?
Yeah, I mean, Ghana's a fair way further away. So, I mean, I think logically, with our portfolio, also, it's a possibility. But if I look at it now, given what we've got here in the Carolina project and what we've got in Quebec, we'd probably focus on that, providing we're not at war with Canada.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Now they're going to be a state.
Sorry?
Yeah. I have a 16-part question. No, I'm just gonna go on. One more question. If the conversion operation stays, is there a possibility, or would there be like other businesses or other industries that would come around this conversion process?
Yeah, well, I mean, the pipe. Yeah, no. Look, the pipe dream. I mean, would be that we'd actually see that the battery manufacturers would actually set up here in Gaston County, and then take the lithium hydroxide and then take it all the way through into the batteries. That would be the perfect scenario. And I think that's ultimately where the US government's trying to head in developing that. So it certainly could be the, if you like, the cornerstone for building that battery ecosystem.
Okay. I know one time up around Greensboro and everything, there was Toyota or somebody was.
That's right.
It's here. It's running. That could be a possibility.
No, exactly right. So it's a bit of that field of dreams, build it and they will come.
Right.
So
And it's already somewhat started. You know, this is called the battery bill. So you've got plants and automotive in Georgia, Tennessee, North Carolina. Right. So this is just part of that.
But
part
yeah,
of that concept.
where it's going to shift, because it's not, you know, historically it's all been about the EVs.
Right.
It's going to get into, you know, big batteries, ESS, start thinking about sort of drone technology, those sort of things. That's where the opportunity is.
Data centers.
Yes, ma'am.
Follow up to the question, so you know, start getting oil out of the mine.
Yes.
Then the concentration plant then is no longer needed.
If we're not mining oil close by, yeah, the concentrator would go.
So, but there's still going to be a facility there that's left in place. I guess, is there a possibility that could become something else? Maybe not for you all, but for somebody else.
Unless there's some other sort of mineral discovery, probably unlikely, and we'd be more than likely to dismantle it and reclaim the site, and you'd just be left with the conversion facility.
What's the percentage of lithium from lubricants to battery?
In terms of spread, like,
Yeah, what's the percentage?
I mean, right, look, I mean, EVs right now are probably around about 65% of the market. Batteries are coming in sort of around about 30, and then you got sort of lithium chemicals, and that's sort of probably around 5% of the market. Yes, ma'am.
I know you estimate approximately 3 years before this would be operational for the 3 different steps. If for some reason steps 1 and 2 seem to be dragging their feet, would you be able to go through the conversion operations, go forward with that previous to steps 1 and 2?
If we had a feed, yeah, if we've got a feed source, so we need to have that spodumene concentrate to feed it, but that is a possibility. And that's one way of us thinking about it, because it would reduce the capital, and you know, and you folks, you know, some of you might feel more comfortable if we're just, you know, without the mine initially. So you know, these are things we're thinking about.
You have more questions?
Yes, we do. So, can you speak on the cost of getting a well registered in this area? That way, it's able to.
I don't know the answer to that.
We'll take that on notice, because it's clearly come up. It's important, so we'll find that out and get the info out.
Then we also have another person back to the wells. How do they find out if their well is going to be affected?
If they send us an email, we can have a conversation with them.
Just like the young man here, sort of. Well, he asked, and yeah, now you know, and we'll happy to meet with you one-on-one as well.
And then we have another one. What are the plans for the large numbers of wildlife that have increased in number since the homes and people have left the area? So displacement of wildlife that have moved in.
So, I mean, just like any area, the wildlife come, the wildlife go. And so once we start operations, they will migrate to wherever they need to migrate. We will not be harming them, and we won't impact them. They will just have a natural migration.
That I disagree.
Okay.
They really don't have anywhere else to go. We've already taken everything away from them. So it's not like they can just get up.
What wildlife are you referring to? Like deer, turkey? I mean, I'll just say, based on all the projects that I've been around, and I'm sure Lucas can speak.
I mean, this is not just you guys. It's
Understood.
It's everywhere. And, you know, I'm just saying, you can't just say, oh, they just get up and go somewhere. You know, because we've already taken everything away from them.
I'll just say they're very resourceful, and they do find new territory.
Yes, sir.
I know there was a recreation contract signed with the city of Cherryville. Do you expect Elevra to continue to spend some money in Cherryville on top of that? Because I haven't seen a whole lot of spending here lately.
Yeah, well,
one of the main reasons for that is Elevra is, as Lucas pointed out earlier, we have multi-projects now. So we're in different areas. We all have, every single project has community support services that we do, just like we did here. To answer your question, we will continue to honor our agreement that we had with the city of Cherryville, and Emily and I take a look at these things based on what the community needs are, and we look at that on a need basis. But we have 4 different projects now in 4 different areas that we have to do the same for. But to answer your question, we will continue to work with the city of Cherryville with our recreation program that we have.
I mean, I hope in some ways you take away from this evening, you mightn't agree with everything that we've shared, but our commitment to Cherryville's, I hope, is demonstrated by the fact that we're here and we're engaging with folks. Because if we didn't care and we weren't invested, the easy thing for us to do would just be hide away and send out the permit. And that's not what we're about. So, as Melissa said, we're going to continue to support it. As always, there's tension around this about what level of support communities want. Typically, it's never enough, and I understand that, but we've got to balance it with the rest of the portfolio. Other questions?
You have more online?
One keeps popping up, disappearing.
Sorry, so you had
Go ahead.
The houses that they were talking about that you have already purchased that's outside the area,
Mm-hmm.
well, some of those houses are still standing. What are you going to do with those houses?
Well, I think there's a fundamental question about what do we do with those properties.
Yeah. Someone's been standing for like 2 years, and like for the first year, there was many semi-unscrupulous visitors at the ends of dead-end roads and everything else. There'd be like 15 cars that didn't belong to anybody in my neighborhood. That'd be going down there stripping copper and walking around going, like I said, semi-unscrupulous situations. It would seem.
They sound like semi to me. They sound like completely. So, a very generous man.
What I will say is, a few years ago, we didn't have the same diligence we had about property management. We have Jimmy now who lives here in the area, and he is constantly out in the areas. He's checking property. So we understand. He knows before most of the public knows when there are people inside of our property. So we do have a very structured property management program where we evaluate all of our properties to ensure the safety of not only the structure, but those in the neighborhood around it.
A lot of them got burnt and everything. It's like they were burning all of them for training exercises.
Yeah, that's a fire.
Then it's just like all of a sudden everything stopped on that.
Well, we still do some training burns. Jimmy is a firefighter as well, so he helps us coordinate those activities. And so we do them on an as-needed basis. When they come and say they need a property, then we work with them to figure out which property is best and to meet their needs.
Any of the properties that you purchase that are outside of your permit zone that you just stood here and said we really have no plans in the future for, do you have any possibilities of putting them back on the market?
That's a possibility.
Because someone had brought that up, that somebody said that they possibly could buy some property.
That
is may still have the house or
we're still working through that, but that is a possibility.
Now, would you give somebody in that area first opportunity, or are you going to throw it out on the
We want to be very strategic and respectful of the area, so we will do it in a respectful way where there's a lot of different scenarios that we have established, and so I don't want to say this is how we're going to do it, but we will be respectful of the area, not just put it on Facebook or have a realtor come in before we start doing that.
One big concern is you put this property back on the market, contractors come in, buy it up, slap apartment houses up.
Big ones anyway, big properties.
Or a large housing development.
Well, I will say, in order for those things to happen, it would have to be rezoned for them to do those activities, which would have to go through whichever jurisdiction there are to rezone it.
That doesn't seem to be a problem.
Well, I can tell you, rezoning is not the simplest process. Maybe it's easier a property developer.
I'm around Gaston.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I have one last question. A lot of that property is bought up, especially some out there on Whiteside Road. There are some historical cemeteries. What are your plans for that?
So within our mine permit boundary, we have to maintain those. So there will be perimeters around those so we don't disturb them. We can't touch them. And so they are taken into account into all of our planning that if they're in the mine permit boundary. If we own the land and it's not within the mine permit boundary, we still can't touch them. There's just not a mine permit that tells us what we have to do.
What about some of these properties that had old family cemeteries on them?
Correct. So in order to get our mine permit, we had to do archaeological testing. We had to do wildlife. The word's not coming to me. Like
flora and fauna.
Thank you. Flora and fauna expectations. So we know wherever they are. We've done LiDAR testing in certain areas, around the areas, to know where those areas are.
But that's for the mining.
Within the mine permit boundary.
Okay, but what about a conversion plant operation?
It's within the mine permit boundary.
It's all in the same area.
All three of our processes are within the mine permit boundary.
I have a few more online ones now. The first one is for those, if their well is affected, and they're not interested in being put on city water or water line, would you consider buying them out?
We're going to take case by case situations. I'm not going to say yes. I'm not going to say no.
Second one, this has to do with the future usage of the mine. Once the mine has been closed down, will the land be usable? What is the plan? I know we've talked about greenfield expansion, brownfield expansion in the past.
So because we're going to do progressive reclamation, part of our mine permit boundary is we do have to do responsible closure. And so what that's going to look like, we have not determined the final disposition of the land. So we will have community engagement. We will be working with the state. So I don't have a clear answer on what will be left.
Lithium OH.
Lithium hydroxide.
There we go. Hazardous waste will be a byproduct, DBS. How will you dispose of it, and can you guarantee none of it will remain on site?
Hazardous waste is a regulated entity, and so we will dispose of it according to the regulations for disposal.
And then the last one I've got so far is the cemeteries. How will families be able to visit them?
So they will have access for those cemeteries that are there because we don't have the full layout of what that looks like. I can't answer that, but we will have a plan in place.
We'll be able to facilitate it
before operation.
Okay, and since I don't have any more in a moment, I know we're trying to close the meeting. Can you guys say again where people can direct questions to online or in Cherryville?
So we're available here at the Cherryville office. It's also on this, so it'll be at the end of this presentation. It has my direct number. Again, I'm Melissa, Government and Community Affairs. These are and by the way, these are our cell numbers. These are our mobiles. You're not going to get an 800 number. These are our points of contact. If you have any questions about the permit, you can contact Monique. Again, Emily's in the Cherryville office. Our website, www.elevra.com. This presentation will be on the website, and if you've filled out a comment card, anything that you need individually, we will get to you by next week.
I just want to be clear. When we get emails or phone calls, we respond. It's not like, they sit somewhere in a vault that never gets opened. They are directed to us within the 24 hours normally of being received so that we can make sure we contact you all.
Yep, and our email addresses are on here. Again, these are not like an info at Elevra. These are our real email addresses. So any questions that you have, please send them to us. As you saw tonight, we're transparent. We're here to talk about it. We're here to answer your questions. And we'll continue to do that after tonight.
Lucas, closing.
Thank you very much for your time. We'll see you again soon. Thanks, folks. Have a good night.
Your daughter's going to Montana, you said?
My son is in the airport.